Marcus Speaks.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Marcus Speaks. I'm your host, Marcus, and this is Marcus Speaks Live, the only podcast where you get to hear about damn near anything. So, welcome to the show. I give everyone a round of applause who is here. In addition, I welcome you here today with myself, Mr. Freefinger himself. If you could, get myself together. If you could follow what's going on the screen, if you could like this video, share this video, and subscribe if you're new. Hit that bell icon to all so you can get all of my notifications once they go live. All right? And let's not do a little slide out. If you can go and subscribe to not only just this channel here, my main channel on Marcus Speaks, you can go over to Marcus Speaks Play, where I exclusively play my favorite games in a certain select few new releases, where you can watch me play video games. Right now I am playing Horizon Forbidden West. So if you are interested in that, you can come and watch me. Did a 5-hour stream yesterday, which was excellent. So if you want to go and watch that, please, by all means, go over there. I also have a playlist of all of the games that I've played, not only here on this channel, but on the second channel as well. And if you want to watch that show too, on Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can also view that on Twitch, twitch.tv/Marcus Speaks Productions, all right? So if you can hit the links that's in the description box, you'll find everything that I just spoke of, even my social medias. So if you could, follow the scrolling tick that's down there at the bottom. The scrolling tick is for you. There will be a gap in between things. Once you see the gap, that starts everything over. So if you want to read that over, everything's there for you. I have my social medias there. I have what times those shows starts. Tell you to hit something, here's the gap right there. There you go. So you follow me on social media at Instagram. So it's all there. Please follow that and sorry. If you want to come up here and talk to me tonight, I only have 3 rules. Rule number 1, you must be on camera, all right? Rule number 2, if you don't want to be on camera, you cannot. Okay, if you don't want to be on camera in the public, I understand that. That's fine. You can turn your camera on. But once you come back here to backstage, you have to be on camera still. So you have to be on camera at all times, except if you do not want to be on camera, in the public. There's a private chat back here. If you don't want to be on camera, hit that private chat. Be like, hey, I don't want to be on camera, and I'll let you know as soon as I'm about to bring you up and turn your camera off. All right. And rule number 3. Please silence all background noise. That means your barking dog, your crying children, your loud TV, whatever music you're playing in the background, whatever food you're frying in the background. I do not want to hear that, all right? Please silence all noise in the background, please. And with that being said, that's it. If you guys want to speak to me, the link is posted right here in the live chat. It's right there for you. So if you want to come up here, just let me know by coming in here and then saying, hey, I'd like to be on camera, or I do not want to be on camera. Make sure you silence the background noise, all right? Now, that being said, I did that all in 4 minutes. That's good. That's how long my theme song plays. So yeah, man, let's get into some things. Man, so first things first. If you ever watched my show, you know that I play videos, and the only way I can do that is fair use. Fair use is basically not only the law, but it's also a YouTube guideline that I have to follow. So with that being said, When I make my points during this show, I usually play videos to further my point. That way you can fully understand what the hell I'm talking about. And with that being said, instead of me telling you exactly what fair use is, I most rather my past self tell you. Hello everyone, I'm going to tell you about fair use. It's the law. Warning. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyright motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107. All right, that's fair use, people. Now, before we get into today's show, for the 44 people that showed up last night for my game stream, I appreciate it. I give you guys a round of applause. That has probably been one of many of my successful streams. I only have 72 subscribers, and 44 of them, well, really 3 of them, showed up with 41 more who aren't subscribed came through and came and watched me play. So I appreciate you. But okay, let's get into today's show. So people, if you don't know what's been going on in the news, I'm here to tell you. If you guys don't remember, let me share my screen real fast. I forgot to do that. If you guys don't remember, me doing a show in the beginning of the year about basically conspiracy theories. This is one of the things I spoke about was the Georgia Guidestones. The Georgia Guidestones was damaged this week. It got damaged, I believe, either on Wednesday, if not Thursday, Tuesday or Wednesday. I believe it was Wednesday when this happened. When the Georgia Guidestones blew up. Somebody placed a detonated charge on the Guidestones, and this is what happened. So if you want to see the video of what happened, here we go. Wow, you see that? Now, this frame is a silver car speeding off, and they have yet to verify who that is yet. So until they get into who did it, we still don't know who did it. Now, you guys remember me speaking about the Georgia Guidestones. The Georgia Guidestones has been like an entry-level conspiracy theorists. How can I put that? The Georgia Guidestones is entry-level in conspiracy theories. When you start believing in conspiracy theories, that's what you start out with, along with a myriad of other things. But the Georgia Guidestones are probably the number one thing that you'll start to research when you become a conspiracy theorist. So what I spoke on in the beginning of the year was basically what the Guidestones have on it. Basically, it has its plan of I guess a sustainable world of 500 million people, and it shouldn't exceed that because of basically food and stuff like that. As you guys know, I believe the world is maybe 2 billion people, 3 billion people in the world. So we have far exceeded that. So but basically it states that in every language, and the purpose of it was basically, I guess, to guide you if you ever got lost, I guess. I guess when it's nighttime, you can see the North Star. During the day, you can see the sun. You'll never go wrong, I'm guessing. But yeah, if you want to check that video out, I'll make sure when I go to put the end cards and the cards up, I'll make sure I'll put that video posted right there with the question, with the information marker on there. So I'll make sure I'll post that video up so you guys can watch that. All right, so that's all I really have for you as far as banter goes. Nothing really happened this week as far as in the news that I believe was important, other than, you know, some worldly news. Some prime minister in Japan got killed by an assassin. Got killed by an assassin with a makeshift gun. They somehow made a gun. Guns are illegal in Japan, so somehow he made a gun, and that's what we got. So we can get into today's show. So today's show consists of this. We are going to be talking about. So last week I went over Roe v. Wade, as well as Roe v. Wade being turned over by the Supreme Court, as well as gun rights being turned over by the Supreme Court. But the same day Roe v. Wade was turned over, which was 2 Thursdays ago, that very same day, Miranda rights has been turned over as well. All right, and I will be getting into that tonight, as well as Ghislaine Maxwell, which is Jeffrey Epstein's right-hand woman. She got sentenced to 20 years, as well as our R&B Pied Piper, R.Kelly, got sentenced to 30 years the very same day as Ghislaine Maxwell. I believe they reported, and this is me getting into conspiracy talk, I believe they sentenced R.Kelly the same day as Ghislaine, is to throw off the Ghislaine sentencing. That's what I believe. But, you know, you can either take my word for it or just tell me shut the hell up. But somewhere in there, I'm right. But with that being said, I may not be off. But if you guys don't know what Miranda rights are, right? These are your Miranda rights. Let me do it like this. You guys pay attention. So, Miranda rights are this. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to an attorney and have him present with you while you are being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. The waiver part says, do you understand each of these rights? I have explained to you. Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to us now? That's basically what the police would tell you every time that they would arrest you. That's what they show on TV. That's not what happens in real life, though. Usually if they get you on a crime, they lock your ass up and then, well, they'll put you in handcuffs, bring you downtown, and then put you in a cell for a little while, and then they'll start the questioning. This is where you have to remember your rights. But I know you guys are tired of me talking. Why don't I show y'all exactly what I'm talking about here? Bring this down.
Civil rights advocates are crying foul over a decision handed down by the U.S. Supreme Court today.
The court ruled that police officers who fail to read suspects their Miranda rights can't be sued. Jordana explains the potential fallout.
The power of police to interrogate a suspect is enormous. The Miranda warning is intended to protect suspects from being unfairly treated. Today's decision weakens that protection. The 1963 arrest of a man in Phoenix led to a landmark Supreme Court ruling that is a household phrase. Police are required to tell suspects in custody of their Miranda rights, notifying them of their right to remain silent and their right to speak with an attorney. On Thursday, the Supreme Court ruled suspects who are not notified of their Miranda rights do not have the option to sue police for damages later.
It is another consistent weakening of the Miranda doctrine.
ASU law professor Gary Stewart wrote a book on Miranda rights. Stewart says the decision by the Supreme Court is based in good faith and is a sound legal decision reflecting the conservative makeup of the court. However, he warns it could do harm.
Well, it will encourage that tiny minority of police officers, it's a tiny minority, who abuse these rules routinely, who solve crimes by lying to suspects, by not telling the suspects what their constitutional rights are.
This is one of the most completely wrong opinions of the Supreme Court I've read recently.
ASU constitutional law attorney Paul Bender is more critical of the court, saying the right to sue should not be taken away.
The reason why there's a federal statute that gives you damages if your constitutional rights are violated is because the federal government, Congress, thinks that if your constitutional rights are violated and harms you, you ought to be able to recover damages.
The decision means police officers will have one more level of immunity as they do their jobs. Jordana, 12.
As if they don't have enough already. So if you guys didn't listen to what they were saying, if the police don't tell you your Miranda rights once you are arrested, or they find you guilty of what they found or charges that they're pressing against you, they don't have to read you your Miranda rights anymore. It's totally off the books now. It's now what I said last week with both of the federal, constitutional laws really that were overturned. Was it last week? Yeah, last week. Wait, was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. So they now don't have to tell you your Miranda rights, and you cannot sue them for it. That's the whole shebang now. Now, what I was getting into last week, I got into where these rights are now preside. These rights now preside with the people and their representatives that they've appointed or elected. This is now our issue now. So just like every state has a constitution, just like the United States has a constitution, they have to figure out some way how this has to, how they can, put this into law some way. Now, this is what I mean by that. What I mean by that is this. I mean by that is, like I said last week, the exact thing that I said last week was this. Is what I just said just a little while ago. It now rests on us and our representatives, that means senators and Congress people alike, that now hold, and our governors and stuff like that. Our governors and mayors and stuff, they now have to put something on the books to either codify with the Miranda rights, or they can just leave them off entirely, just like they're doing with the Roe v. Wade stuff in 26 states, where it is now banned in those 26 states where a woman cannot get an abortion at all. It is now illegal. It's now considered as murder. So, and as well with the New York law when it comes to having guns now in New York, and now not just New York, but all around the country. Each state now has to appoint some sort of law that allows the people to now carry on their person now, but it has to be, which I believe they won't allow it in sensitive places. This was the word that came up in the doctrine that I showed you last week. Sensitive places such as schools, libraries, grocery stores, anybody's place of who owns their own like restaurant or something like that. If they have strict gun rules where you can't bring it inside of their establishment, that's also now in a sensitive place. Parks, stuff like that, you can't bring your gun in these places. So with those laws now being in place, with those laws now being a state's issue, just as well as this Miranda thing, people have to figure out now what they're going to do when it comes to if they get pulled over, and if they get pulled over and they get placed in handcuffs. It's now on you to tell the police officers, I would like my Miranda rights to be read to me. You now have to say that to the police officers now, since this has been overturned, because if they don't, you're shit out of luck any goddamn way. They can just use what you're telling them either on the street when they detain you, or when they take you downtown and take you to the precinct and take you in for questioning. You now have to tell them, I would like my Miranda rights to be read to me. This is not going to be first 48 where they take a motherfucker downtown and they feed him some McDonald's and he starts talking. No, you have to remember now your own rights. Now let's get into the article that I got for you guys. So it says Supreme Court protects police from lawsuits over violating Miranda rights. So, just like last week, it's no different. I have the document. Y'all know me. I got the document. It is also in the description box for you to download, or just to go to the website and read it over. When you go to the website, you have an option to either print it out or download it to your computer or phone, and you now have it. You can read over all of the Supreme Court justices, or the Supreme Court justice, which I believe was Alito. Yeah, it was Alito that signed this off, and he got some help from his constituents, to where they believe so as well. Same thing. Now, it says in the U.S. Supreme Court 6-3 decision in Vega versus Teco, 2 Thursdays ago, the court ruled that suspects who aren't issued their Miranda rights are now unable to sue a police officer for damages under federal civil rights law, even if the evidence was ultimately used against them in their criminal trial. This case revolves around the Fifth Amendment's right against self-incrimination, which bars a defendant from being compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against themselves. The significance of this right cannot be overstated. Throughout much of our country's history, especially during the Jim Crow era, many false confessions were coerced from suspects via illegal methods, which oftentimes meant violence. But in 1966, the High Court took steps to eliminate this problem with their landmark ruling in Miranda versus Arizona. Which requires the police to warn suspects that they, let me bring this up just for a little while. There we go. Bring that up just for a little while. Let's see if I can. which requires the police to warn suspects that they have the right to remain silent and to access to an attorney. In the case, Terrence Tecco was a hospital worker who was accused of sexually assaulting an immobilized female patient at a local hospital in 2014. Carlos Vega, sheriff deputy for Los Angeles County, questioned Tecco, but had failed to read him his rights as required by the precedent of Miranda versus Arizona. So let's get into the all right, so I'm here on the document here. All right, if you guys want to read along, I believe I have it big enough that you can see. So let's read. Now, before I start, the parts that I have highlighted, just like last week, is just the syllabus. I've read the whole document. It's only 26 pages, but the syllabus basically gives you each and everything that I believe it was Judge Alito who made his determination that this should be overturned. But this basically lays out everything that he overturned. So let's get into it, right? Now, let's use our reading comprehension skills at this point. So the case arose out of the interrogation of respondent Terrence Tecco by petitioner, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Deputy Carlos Vega. Deputy Vega questioned Tecco at the medical center where Tecco worked regarding the reported sexual assault of a patient. Vega did not inform Tecco of his rights under Miranda versus Arizona, 384 U.S. 436. Tecco eventually provided a written statement apologizing for inappropriately touching the patient's genitals. Tecco was prosecuted for unlawful sexual penetration with his phalanges. His written statement was admitted against him at trial, basically the same way that Bill Cosby's deposition was presented in trial without his knowledge or his lawyer's knowledge. Now, same thing. His written statement was admitted against him at trial after the injury after the jury returned a verdict of not guilty. Tecco sued Vega under 42 USC subsection 1983, seeking damages for alleged violations of his constitutional rights. The Ninth Circuit held that the use of an unmirandized statement against a defendant in a criminal proceeding violates the Fifth Amendment and may support a subsection 1983 claim against the officer who obtained the statement. Of violation of the Miranda rules does not provide a basis for a subsection 1983 claim. Excuse me, my eyes watering. Subsection or section 1983 provides a cause of action against any person acting under color of state law who subjects a person to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution and laws. Tecco argues that a violation of Miranda constitutes a violation of the Fifth Amendment rights against compelled self-incrimination. That is wrong. In Miranda, the court concluded that additional procedurals protections were necessary to prevent the violation of the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination when suspects who are in custody are interrogated by police. Miranda imposed a set of prophylactic rules requiring that custodial interrogation be preceded by familiar warnings and disallowing the use of statements obtained in violation of these new rules by the prosecution in its case in chief. So Miranda did not hold that a violation of the rules as established necessarily constitute a Fifth Amendment violation. That makes sense, as an un-Mirandized suspect in custody may make self-incriminating statements without any hint of compulsion. The Miranda court stated that the Constitution did not itself require adherence to any particular solution for the inherent compulsion of the interrogation process, and that its decision in no way created a constitutional straitjacket. Since Miranda, the court has repeatedly described Miranda rules as prophylactic. Hope I said that word right. I hope it is prophylactic. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, prophylactic. I had it right the first time. But you always gotta double check. So now is the next section. Do I have to read this? Let's see. All right, that's next. All right, so let's get back into the article for a little while. So it says, while Tico ultimately did confess to the crime, he was tried and acquitted even after the introduction of 1983 of federal law. I think I said that wrong. Introduction of his confession at trial. I know I went ahead a little bit. He then filed suit against the officer under Section 1983 of federal law. So, lower courts were split on the issue of whether the warning given to criminal suspects before they talk to authorities is a constitutional right or something less important and less defined. And thus, the case rose to the level of the Supreme Court. The decision was split along party lines. Chief Justice Roberts, Justice Clarence Thomas, Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil M. Gorsuch joined Justice Alito in the opinion for the majority. So, with that being said, still looking back here, I am now at the yellow part. The second yellow part, sorry. Trying to find my mouse. Okay, here we go. So I'm down at some post. So you'll see on page 2, it's yellow, blue, green, yellow. Then it's white part that's not really that important. And then you have the third yellow part on this page. That's where I'm at right now. But to read a little bit of the white part after prophylactic, these new prophylactic rules, and in doing so, weigh the benefit and cost of any clarification of prophylactic rules scope. All right, that's just to give you a better understanding of what they meant by prophylactic. So, third yellow part. Some post Miranda decisions found that the balance of interest justified restrictions that would not have been possible in Miranda described the Fifth Amendment right as opposed to a set of rules designed to protect that right. The court held that a statement obtained in violation of Miranda could be used to impeach the testimony of a defendant, even though an involuntary statement obtained in violation of the Fifth Amendment could not have been employed in this way. In Michigan versus Tucker, 417 U.S. 443, which I believe those are page numbers, 443, 450, and 452. If they're not page numbers, they have to be probably, y'all let me know. Shit. The court held that the fruits of an un-Mirandized statement can be admitted. In doing so, the court distinguished police conduct that abridge or abridges a person's constitutional privilege against compulsory self-incrimination from conduct that depart or departs only from the prophylactic standards later laid down by this court in Miranda to safeguard the privilege. This song does not go with what the hell I'm talking about. There we go. That's a better song. Shit. The court following the reason in Tucker refused to exclude a signed confession and emphasized that an officer's error in administrating the prophylactic Miranda procedures should not breed the same irremediable consequence as police infringement of the Fifth Amendment itself. While many of the court's decision imposed limits of Miranda's prophylactic rules, other decisions found that the balance of interest called for expansion. The court held that silence following a Miranda warning cannot be used to impeach. The court acknowledged that Miranda warnings are prophylactic, but it found that allowing the use of post-warning silence would undermine the warning's implicit promise that silence would not be used to convict. Okay, page 3. Once again, acknowledged the Miranda adopted prophylactic rules. The court balanced the competing interest and found that the cost of adopting a stone-like rule outweighed any benefit. In sum, the court post-Miranda case acknowledged the prophylactic nature of the Miranda rules and engaged in cost-benefit analysis to define their scope. Dickerson involved a federal statute, 18 USC subsection 3501, that effectively overruled Miranda by making the admissibility of a statement given during a custodial interrogation turn solely on whether it was made voluntarily. That's a lot of words there. Now, Alito wrote a violation of Miranda does not necessarily constitute a violation of the Constitution. Miranda rests on pragmatic judgment about what is needed to stop the violation at trial of the Fifth Amendment right against compelled self-incrimination. The prophylactic purpose is served by the suppression at trial of statement obtained in violation of Miranda, he continued. Following the victim of a Miranda violation to sue a police officer for damages under Section 1983 would have little additional deterrent value, and permitting such claims would cause many problems. With this rule, the court has essentially shielded law enforcement officers from having to pay monetary damages for failing to advise suspects of their rights before obtaining statements later used against them in court. Justice Ellen Kagan wrote a scathing dissent and was joined by fellow Justice Sonia Sotomayor and soon-to-be retired Justice Stephen G. Breyer. Kagan wrote, "Today, the court strips individuals of the ability to seek a remedy of violations of the right recognized in Miranda. The majority observed that defendants may still seek the suppression at trial of statements obtained in violation of Miranda's procedures. Such a statement will not be suppressed," she said, "and sometimes as a result, a defendant will be wrongly convicted and spend years in prison. He may succeed on appeal or in habeas. Getting the conviction reversed, but then what remedy does he have for all the harm he has suffered?" I don't know why they keep saying he, but he or she. Let's put it like that. Suffer. The implication of this ruling are expected to be far-reaching, as professor at the University of Texas School of Law and CNN Supreme Court analysis Steve Vladek said, "The ruling doesn't get rid of Miranda rights, but it does make it far harder to enforce. Under this ruling, the only remedy for a violation of Miranda is to suppress statements obtained from a suspect who's not properly advised of his rights to remain silent. But if the case never goes to trial, or if the government never seeks to use the statement, or if the statement is omitted, notwithstanding the Miranda violation, there's no remedy at all for the government's misconduct." So, we're going to read some more through that because that was the first part of that article. So, at the same time, the court made it clear that it was not acquitting a violation of the Miranda rules with an outright Fifth Amendment violation. Instead, the Dickerson court described the Miranda rules as constitutionally based with constitutional underpinnings. Those formulations obviously avoided saying that a Miranda violation is the same as a violation of the Fifth Amendment right. And when the court adopts a constitutional prophylactic rule of this nature, Dickerson's conclusion, the rule has the status of a law of the United States that is binding on the states under the Supreme Clause, and the rule cannot be altered by ordinary legislation. Dickerson thus asserted a bold and controversial claim that this court has the authority to create constitutionally based prophylactic rules that bind both federal and state courts. Subsequent cases confirmed that Dickerson did not upend the court's understanding of the Miranda rules was prophylactic. In sum, the violation of Miranda does not necessarily constitute a violation of the Constitution, and therefore such a violation does not constitute the deprivation. I want to say that word right. Is it deprivation? It's probably deprivation. Deprivation of a right secured by the Constitution for purposes of subsection 1983. A subsection 1983 claim may also be based on the deprivation of any rights secured by the laws, but the argument that Miranda rules constitute federal law that can provide the grounds for a subsection 1983 claim cannot succeed unless TECO can persuade the court that this law should be expanded to include the right to sue for damages under subsection 1983. Judicially. I had that right. A judicially crafted prophylactic rule should apply only where its benefits outweighs its costs. Allowing subsection 1983 suits based on Miranda claims could also present many procedural issues. Miranda in itself, hold on, where am I at? Miranda and its progeny provides sufficient protections for the Fifth Amendment right against compelled self-incrimination. I believe that is the end of the syllabus, and then we get into this. So, Justice Alito delivered the opinion on the court. This case presents the question whether a plaintiff may sue. Move this over a little bit. May sue a police officer under revisions. I believe that would be status subsection 1979. 42 USC subsection 1983, based on the allegedly improper admission of an un-Mirandized statement in criminal prosecution. The case arose out of the interrogation of respondent Terrence TECO by petitioner LA County Sheriff's Department Carlos Vega. Deputy Vega questioned TECO at his place of employment and did not give him a Miranda warning. TECO was prosecuted and his confession was admitted into evidence, but the jury returned the verdict of not guilty. TECO then sued Vega under subsection 1983, and the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit held that the use of TECO's un-Mirandized statement provided a valid basis for a subsection 1983 claim against Vega. We now reject this extension of our Miranda case law. I believe I have 2 more pages. Or this is the last page, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, this is the last page that I have highlighted. So TECO was arrested and charged in California State Court unlawfully sexual penetration at TECO's first trial. The judge held that Miranda has not been violated because TECO was not in custody when he provided the statement. Let's see where I'm at. This trial resulted in acquittal, and TECO then brought this action under 42 USC subsection, so United States Court. So action under 42 United States Court, subsection 1983, against Vega and several other defendants seeking damages for alleged violations of his constitutional rights, including his Fifth Amendment right against compelled self-incrimination. Before the second trial, TECO asked the court to instruct the jury that it was required to find that Vega violated the Fifth Amendment right against compelled self-incrimination if it determined that he took a statement from TECO in violation of Miranda and that the statement was then improperly used against TECO at his criminal trial. The district court declined, reasoning that Miranda established a prophylactic rule, and that such a rule could not alone provide a ground for subsection 193 liability. I believe that's my last page that I have highlighted. No, I have more. Hold on. I might have more. All right, I'm done. This is the last page. Section 193 provides a case. Hold on. All right. Subsection 193 provides a case of action against any person acting under color of law who subjects a person or causes a person to be subjected to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution and laws. The question we must decide is whether a violation of the Miranda rules provides a basis for a claim under subsection 1983. We hold that it does not. If a Miranda violation were tantamount to a violation of the Fifth Amendment, our answer would of course be different. The Fifth Amendment made applicable to a state, applicable to the states by the 14th Amendment. How do you say this name? Malloy versus Hogan, 378 U.S. U.S. 1 and 6 of 1964 provides that no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. This clause permits a person to refuse to testify against himself at a criminal trial in which he is a defendant and also privileges him not to answer official questions, but to him in any other proceeding, civil or criminal, formal or informal, where the answers might incriminate him in future criminal proceedings. In addition, the right bars the introduction against a criminal defendant of out-of-court statements obtained by compulsion. I believe I should have highlighted this, but in Miranda, the court concluded that additional procedural protections were necessary to prevent the violation of this important right when suspects who are in custody are interrogated by the police. So I'll highlight that now. Put that in green. That's important. So yeah, to afford this protection, the court requires that custodial interrogation be preceded by the now familiar warnings mentioned above, and it directed that statements obtained in violation of these new rules may not be used by the prosecution in its case in chief. So yeah, that's all of it. That's all of it, y'all. So, like I said, if you guys want to get this document, you can. It's right there in the description box. It'll take you directly to the website, and you guys can then start reading yourself. It's only 26 pages. It'll probably take you no more than like 15 minutes to read, so you'll be fine. Now, takeaways for cops. this is what's happening. Now I gotta put this. This is on a timestamp, so I gotta get it directly where I need it. So these are the takeaways for cops. I'm gonna play this video here, and after 5 minutes and 17 seconds, I'm gonna tell you where you can go to get more information about your rights when you get pulled over or if you're walking on the street. So here we go.
This is essentially saying that if the police fail to inform you of your rights, you can't sue them. Break it down for us and explain to our viewers what impact this will have on our community.
Right. So Miranda was designed, the Miranda warning that we're used to seeing on cop shows and the rest, it's designed to make sure you're aware of your 5th and 6th Amendment rights, your right not to incriminate yourself and your right to counsel. What this decision says is that, hey, that shouldn't be infringed. You still have the right, but if the police happen not to remember or if they don't tell you about it, then you can't sue them for failing to make sure that you knew your rights. So on the sort of baseline, what it does is it creates or it removes the protections against law enforcement doing even more dastardly things as they're thinking about interrogating you, as they're detaining you, all of the things where we want law enforcement to be bound by the Constitution. But there's a deeper component to this that I really want people to understand. So why I reached out to talk to you about this. The reason we have the right to sue law enforcement is because of a law that was passed in 1871. That's the height of Reconstruction, back when the United States had people in government who fought to protect Black people against the conditions of chattel slavery. I know it's hard to remember, but we did have that time in the United States. 1871, at the height of Reconstruction, we passed something called the Third Enforcement Act, but it was better known as the Ku Klux Klan Act. 42 USC section 1983 said specifically, hey, folks who are police officers, they can't intimidate or abuse folks, right? Especially when it comes to voting rights. But it's the police who sometimes acted on behalf of the Klan that needed to be called out in this legislation. It is that law that is the way that folks have sued law enforcement for infringing upon folks' rights.
Now, what has been put out in the public by the FBI? That the FBI stated that white supremacist groups have penetrated and infiltrated the police department. So it's not just the cops doing the Ku Klux Klan's bidding anymore, is that they're doing their own bidding themselves. Not saying all white cops are of the white supremacist persuasion, but some of them are. Which you have to know your rights in some way when you get pulled over, or if you got to know your rights to some extent. There's which they tell you when you're if you're being prosecuted. Ignorance is no excuse for knowing the law. So you got to start knowing your shit for now on, because they overturn gun rights, and who knows if the blue states are gonna make gun carrying illegal, or the 26 states that basically struck down and made abortions illegal in their states. Who knows what's gonna happen with this? So we got to be on our toes, on our P's and Q's, as we was told back in the day. And we got to start knowing our shit now, because since the police have more immunities, we really have to be on our toes when it comes to being stopped and, being stopped with, an average or simple traffic stop. Or if you're walking on the street and the police stop you, which if you don't know, when the police stop you during a police stop, you're being detained. That's the reason why you have to ask the question, am I being detained? If you don't ask that question, they can just start asking you questions and moving you around. Anything. If you step away or do something that they feel as though it's threatening, you can either get shot or you'll be arrested for disorderly conduct or not. What is it? disorderly conduct or not adhering to a police officer's a police officer's instructions. There we go. So just know, you get detained and they tell you, hey, can you move over there for me, please? And then probably like a couple minutes later, be like, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you step this way for me, please? Like, you're at that point, you're detained. So just know that. If they stop you, they got you there, they checking you out, not yet pat you down or whatever. Hey, we have a suspicion that you just committed a crime. Well, what's the description of the person? That's what you should be asking first. Well, what's the description of the person? Usually they give you the fucking the bullshit. Well, it's an African American male between the ages of 18 to 35. What? Like what? But anyway, let's keep going.
It is that law that is essentially gutted. The law that protected Black folks from racial terrorism during the heyday of the Ku Klux Klan, when this country cared about that thing, that is the law that this ruling eviscerates. So I want to be clear, in part because we don't know that history, we no longer have the right to be told about our rights. And that's happening at exactly the same time that folks are passing both laws that protect law enforcement against prosecution and laws that prevent us from learning our history. This stuff is coordinated, and I need folks to know that.
This is why we need you on TV this morning, because that is such a through line that I think a lot of people don't understand when we say things like it's systemic. It is white supremacy built into the system. Everything about that, you're right. These are coordinated efforts that aim to erode our rights. And when we try to warn people, it's because we have the most intimate experience with things like this. We see it coming a mile away. But the most urgent thing I do think, Philip, outside of understanding where these laws come from, what I'm concerned about is my brethren, my fellowship, my community. When you find yourself in that position, when you're facing off with law enforcement and you have not been warned of your Miranda rights, what should people do? How should people handle that situation? Because
well, number one, before she continues, you should get this card here, right? Go on Google and get this printed out. Print it out yourself and go somewhere and get it laminated or tape it to where, with some clear tape and carry it in your fucking wallet. Just so you know what your Miranda rights are if you ever get stopped. All right? This is a clear indication of them saying, well, we don't really give a damn anymore about what your rights are. This is me believing what the Supreme Court says, because like I said, I'm gonna bring up something for you guys that you guys can buy. All right, so like I said, go on Google. I got this saved in like 4 places right now up on my computer as well as my phone. So pretty soon, when I print this out, I will be printing this out and getting this laminated. We have a laminator at my job, so I'm gonna get it laminated there. And I'm gonna put it in my wallet. Just so I have it, just so I know what my rights are. Like I said earlier, since they overturned this, doesn't mean that this goes away. It just becomes a state's issue now, which is upon its citizens and its representatives of which its citizens elected. So you guys need to get this in your wallet or somewhere in your purse or somewhere on your person. Hell, make a goddamn shirt out of it if you have to. And print it in all colors and sell it so people can have it. All right? Let's continue.
Can't sue the police. I do wonder what impact this will have on the justice system as you try to navigate a very punishing justice system to folks who look like you and me.
Yeah, so it's incredibly difficult. Know Your Rights campaigns are going to be even more important. The first question is always, are you detaining me or am I free to go? If you are free to go, walk away slowly and calmly, but they have to tell you whether or not you're free to go. If you're being detained, you can say, great, I'd like to speak to my lawyer. That's it. Don't ever think that you can get into a verbal spat or that it's good just to talk casually. I'd like to speak to my lawyer. If I am not.
Never hold conversations with police officers when you're being detained. Because just like it says here on the Miranda rights, I'll bring it up again. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Let me repeat that. And let me put the extra part in that as well that they tell you. Anything you say and or do can and will be used against you in a court of law. So that's the reason why you guys need to know exactly what the hell your Miranda rights are. All right?
Free to go. You are detaining me. I'd like to speak to my lawyer. And I want to also have folks understand that this is in the context of state and local, but
let's read this real fast. Black men are 6 times as likely to be incarcerated than white men. Latino men are 2.5 times as likely to be incarcerated than white men. Those are key takeaways right there. All right, that comes from a racial disparities. I want to get this word. Disparities. Sorry, I had that word all the way wrong. Disparities. So, racial disparities in the criminal justice system. So, y'all really need to look at that. That comes from, really can't see that, the Sentencing Project. I'll just see the Sentencing Project. That's all I can get out of that. But anyway, let's keep going.
Earlier this month, the court, in a decision that wasn't as sort of lifted up as this one, in Egbert versus Boulay, they did the same thing for federal law enforcement. So because federal law enforcement, in this case it was Customs and Border Patrol, they have a national security interest. Now there's no one under cover of law that you can sue when they violate your civil rights.
Now, what he just said is monumental. There's no one you can sue now. No one. Unless, when this ends, I'll give you the exact place where you can go. All right?
Cannot overstate how terrible a situation that is. So for those who are caught up in the situation, am I free to go? I'd like to speak to my lawyer. But for everybody else, we got to be not just voting, but organizing outside of electoral politics. This needs to be a concerted effort for generations to come, because they have just set us generations back.
Yes.
Now, with that being said, people, let me bring this up. I wonder if I saved it. I didn't, so I'm gonna have to bring it up for you guys so you can see. So, people, let me bring this up on screen. Which one are you? This one. This you are. All right. So, what I just brought up on screen is called the Know Your Rights Foundation. All right. This very place gives you all the information you need when it comes to you being detained and or arrested. All right. So what you want to do, you want to go into the constitutional rights page, legal resources, board of directors, and also the about us page. Make sure you read through everything. But there's a product in store tab here as well. Now, it's a guy that frequents a YouTuber's show every Monday at 2:00. His name is Kevin Barringer. He sells these flashcards here that you see. They're called police stop flashcards. There's 3 packages, I believe. Yeah, there's 3 packages. There you have the law and government flashcards. You have the police stop flashcards package. Number 2, you have the police stop flashcards number 2. Number 3 was the first one. I'm sorry. Police stop flashcards package 3 and package 2, and you also have package 1. But you also, if you want to spend the money, you can get the police stop law package, which is $290. Basically, you get all of this information for basically almost $300. You can't go wrong with that. If you want to know what exactly your rights are when driving in public or just sitting in your house, this is exactly what you need to get. If you're black, you need to get this. To be honest, you need to get this information. I put this link, the exact link of the product page, in the description box below. All right. So as soon as you hit that link, it'll take you straight over to this web page where you can make your choice of what you want to buy. All right. I would suggest you get the $290 package because you get all 3 flashcards. I believe you get the vaccination. I forgot what it's called. Where you does it have a description of what you get when you get in here? Instead of me trying to remember. So you get, let's see, it doesn't tell you. Come on, Kevin, you know better than that. You need to put what all you get with this. So reviews be the first. Okay, reviews. Now, what is this called? Vaccine religious exemption card. You get that with it. You get the flashcards. You get what is a surety bond. You also get the qualified immunity notice. You also get a constitutional rights card. Qualified immunity notice. You get the surety bond. What is this called? The Know Your Rights manual. So you get all of that for $230. I mean, $290. Can't go wrong with that. It tells you everything you need to know. With this, the surety bond thing, a surety bond is basically the bond that the police station works under. They work under it because I believe they need some sort of insurance, to do their job. So it's basically insurance. You cut off the surety bond if you go to sue a police officer, which I believe would be very hard to do. But if you get this, you'll learn what a surety bond is and how you can sue a police officer if they violated your rights, and they won't be able to work until they get that. It's until all that is sorted out in court. So I believe you guys should get this package. I have yet to get it, but I will be getting it soon. So just like me, y'all should go ahead and get this because it'll save you in the long run. All right. So, so we will be moving on to the takeaways for cops. Now, for over 35 years, I've been told cops, if you have any doubt, Mirandized. Why risk a prosecutor or judge disagreeing with your assessment of the fact? It may help to know the great weight of empirical evidence supports the conclusion that Miranda's impact on the police's ability to obtain confessions have not been significant. In fact, recommended officers learn to use the Miranda warning as part of establishing a rapport with the suspect. In my experience, that's what good interviews do. So, how would I word this? I won't say subsection, but subtitle 1, in the end, Vega versus Teco didn't undermine Miranda or the Fifth Amendment, and it just clarified what had previously been uncertain about the constitutional status of the warning. Both the majority and the dissent found expressions from previous court decisions supporting their respective arguments. And in the end, the court made the right decision. And if you guys believe they made the right decision, y'all put it in the chat, or if you're watching replay, put it in the comment section. And you guys let me know what y'all think. But moving on to our next story of the night. I'm making good time too. So the second story of the night is, let's see where I'm at on here. Okay. All right. So, second story is Ghislaine Maxwell sentenced to 20 years in prison for sex trafficking crimes. Well, let's see what the news anchors have to say.
The downfall of Ghislaine Maxwell is complete. The former socialite, who counted royalty as friends, has been jailed for 20 years for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse young girls.
Nearly 2 years on from Ghislaine Maxwell's arrest, the reckoning Jeffrey Epstein never had.
Nobody is above the law.
Sentenced to 2 decades behind bars and fined more than $1 million for conspiring with her former boyfriend to recruit, groom and abuse underage girls.
We're happy to finally have some closure and start a new chapter in our lives.
If you commit these crimes, you will be punished.
8 women entered victim impact statements from Australian Virginia Giuffre. I never would have met Jeffrey Epstein if not for you. You opened the door to hell. Refusing to take the stand during trial, today Maxwell addressed the New York court, directing her aim towards her former lover, calling Epstein a manipulative, cunning and controlling man who fooled all of those in his orbit, telling the...
Are you high, bitch? You did this shit with him. What are you talking about?
Victims, may this day help you travel from darkness to light.
She seems to maintain the theme that she is not guilty of the crimes.
Oh, here we go. Fucking Gloria Allred. She always has her fucking mouth in something. She comes up into R.Kelly shit as well. So just be warned.
She's been convicted. She's essentially a stand-in for Epstein.
In sentencing,
now let's stop it there. The only reason why she was put on trial to begin with, as you guys don't remember back in 2019 when Epstein got convicted of his sex crimes. It wasn't even a week that he was in there that he so-called hung himself. Well, when you got he was 6'4", 6'5", 230 pound Russian dude in your cell with you, you will hang yourself, I guess. Anyway, they put Ghislaine on trial because they didn't have the main person they didn't have the main person anymore because his death in jail basically sparked an outrage, I guess, amongst his victims. So Ghislaine went into hiding for probably, I believe it was like 4 months. She was living in upstate New York somewhere. She had some cabin in the woods somewhere. They found her, and they arrested her, and her first trial was last year, I believe in December, and then now they're just sentencing her now. So, that's the timeline of everything.
Justice Alison Nathan said Maxwell was central to this criminal scheme that was long-lasting and far-reaching. She made it clear she was not being punished in place of the billionaire.
Ghislaine Maxwell has been vilified, pilloried, and it left little room for her to be treated fairly.
Is there any comment from the family?
Already said.
From rubbing shoulders with royalty to a jailed predator,
Ghislaine will be exercising her right to appeal.
She'll be nearly 80 by the time she's released. In New York, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
Wow. 80 years old in jail. How would you feel if that was you? I guess the world may never know. Now, Ghislaine and her cohort, Jeffrey Epstein, was both placed in jail. One died. Who knows what happened to Ghislaine? It'll all be a conspiracy if she kills herself in federal prison. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced on last Tuesday to 20 years in prison in her New York sex trafficking case for procuring teen girls for Jeffrey Epstein for him to abuse. Maxwell, 60 years old, has maintained her innocence. Epstein, a convicted sex offender and financier whose elite associates once included Prince Andrew of Wales and Bill Clinton, were captured by federal authorities in July 2019 on sex trafficking counts. He killed himself, allegedly, in a New York City federal jail just over 1 month after his arrest. Maxwell's attorney had pushed for leniency in sentencing, saying that she should receive well below the 20 years recommended by federal probation officials. Prosecutors pushed for a sentence of 30 to 55 years in prison. Maxwell, a former British socialite, was convicted on December 29th of 5 of the 6 charges she faced. The jury came to their decision after 40 hours of deliberation spanning 6 days. In addition to sex trafficking, Maxwell was convicted of conspiracy to entice individuals under the age of 17 to travel in interstate commerce with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, conspiracy to transport individuals under the age of 17 to travel in interstate commerce with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, transportation of an individual under the age of 17 with the intent to engage in illegal sexual activity, and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of individuals under the age of 18. Maxwell was escorted into the courtroom in ankle shackles, and throughout the 3-hour proceeding had an unsettled demeanor. She reportedly touched her hair, sometimes tucking it behind her ear, scratched her neck, and sipped water through the proceeding. The former media heiress wore drabbed gray blue jail scrubs, and a white undershirt. She turned to look at her three siblings who were seated behind her in court. Isabel, Christine, sorry, and Kevin multiple times, but Maxwell did not offer much in the way of an apology for her actions. When Maxwell stood to a plexiglass enclosed lectern to speak, she said, "I emphasize deeply with all of the victims in this case. I also acknowledge that I have been convicted of helping Jeffrey Epstein commit these crimes," said Maxwell, whose statement marked the first time she has publicly addressed these allegations. And despite many helpful and positive things I have done in my life and will continue to do, I know that my association with Epstein and in this case will forever and permanently stain me. Maxwell attempted to pin the blame on Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein should have been here before all of you. He should have stood before you all those years ago. He should have stood before you in 2005, again in 2009, and again in 2019. Maxwell continued, adding shortly thereafter, "I am sorry for the pain that you experienced. There were 4 accusers in the trial, Jane, Kate, and Carolyn, who did not use their full names during proceedings, as well as Annie Farmer. Jane said that she was 14 in 1994 when Epstein began to sexually abuse her, and that sometimes Maxwell was present when he did so. Sometimes Maxwell participated in this abuse." Jane testified, "There were hands everywhere," Jane said, of an incident with Epstein and Maxwell. This abuse also took place when she was 15 and 16. Okay. Kate said that she first met Maxwell in Paris around 1994 at 17 years old. Maxwell asked Kate to tea at her London townhouse shortly thereafter, and then introduced the team to Epstein at a subsequent meeting. A few weeks later, Maxwell telephoned Kate and told her Jeffrey was meant to get a massage, but the massage therapist had cancer. Could I do her a favor and come over because I had strong hands? Kate told jurors that Maxwell led her upstairs where Epstein was in a robe. Maxwell shut the door, leaving Kate alone with Epstein. He initiated sexual contact with Kate. She saw him several times annually over the next few years. Carolyn testified that she fell into Maxwell and Epstein's abusive world around the early 2000s when she was 14 at his Palm Beach mansion. Carolyn said she traveled to Epstein's house over 100 times between ages of 14 and 18 and recalled a physical encounter with Maxwell while getting a massage table ready. "I was getting fully nude and she came in and felt my breast and my hips and my buttocks and said that I had a great body for Mr. Epstein and his friends. She just said that I had a good body type," Carolyn testified. Farmer testified that Maxwell gave her a nude massage when she was aged just 16 at Epstein's sprawling New Mexico estate. She met Epstein in late 1995 when she went to visit her sister Maria in New York City. Now, before I continue, I don't want to I'm not victim shaming, I'm not victim blaming, I'm not doing none of that. But how do you allow abuse like this to happen over a course of, let's just say, 5 years? All right. How do you allow that as, and I understand as a 14-year-old girl, I'm pretty sure you're scared. And I'm pretty sure that if you tell the police that they won't believe you and stuff like that, if you tell your family, they probably may not believe you. But let's put it in perspective first. If you got scared the first time, what made you go back the second time? Because if you guys never watched the Netflix documentary about Jeffrey Epstein, I believe it's a docu-series, which is like, I believe it's like two parts, I believe. And you learn everything about Epstein, you learn everything about Maxwell a little bit, and you learn a lot about his victims. So what I'm not understanding is this here. Why didn't you just go to the police the first time you were sexually abused? Because it says in the documentary that Jeffrey Epstein offered $200 a pop for each massage, and then whatever his friends were charging when they got a massage. So I want to know this. Why is it that these women kept going back? Well, girls at the time, but why is it that they kept going back? Now, you'll see probably why at the end of this article, but I just want to stress this point. People who have young girl children, I would say young male children as well, because there's a lot of sickos out here. I suggest y'all to do this. Get doorknobs on your doors on your children's doors that don't lock, to where they're able to close the door, but you can just walk right in that mug and be like, what the hell's going on here? That's how you can protect your kids, because the more protections you give your kids, I believe the more that they respect you. Now, depending on what type of household that your child grew up in, they may not respect you. But that's beside the point. The point is this. There should be no reason why any of these girls went through any of this multiple times. There should be a reason. It should be that it happened to them once, and then they told the authorities what happened to them, to where they can then could have gotten Epstein convicted. But Epstein was plugged. That's the only issue I believe that they could have faced. He was plugged. He worked for the man that owns Victoria's Secret. It's under a company. I forgot what the company's called. But what the fuck, man? Yeah, the company, I forgot what the company's called. The company was called something. But anyway, he worked for that man as his financial advisor. And then that man then introduced him to the royal family, to Bill Clinton, to Bill Gates. There were some black people on that list as well. That was on his flight log, such as Chris Tucker. I believe Will Smith was on that list as well. This is all alleged, all right? But one thing that I know that won't come out of this is that they will not give us any of the names of the people that were, let's say, involved in any of these abuses. So I don't know who they're protecting. And this is the same thing I have to say with the R.Kelly shit as well. Why wasn't the parents prosecuted as well as the staff members? Because they also had a hand in what was going on. So why aren't they prosecuted as well? Why aren't the people that are on that flight log and in that black book, why aren't they being prosecuted? I don't understand. It's weird that none of this is being said in court. Like no lawyer would bring that up as like a sidebar. Like, hey, yo, judge, like he didn't act alone. He has more people. Like, what can we do about that? I'll come to your chambers after this trial's done so we can talk about that. So, moving on. Maria was an artistic painter for Epstein. Maxwell's case was thrown into potential disarray shortly after the verdict. One of the jurors, Scotty David, gave interviews after the trial where he talked about experiencing sexual abuse as a child. David said that he told his fellow panelists about this so that they could see facts from a victim's point of view. Now, before I go on, let me silence this music real fast. This very same thing as like, not like as a victim being a part of a jury trial, but how can I put this? A plant, I would say, being put in a jury. This very same thing happened with the Derek Chauvin case. Not saying I'm protecting or trying to be like Derek Chauvin was done wrong, but this very same thing happened with his trial. There was a man, jury number 5, I believe, black man, who basically was influenced by the protests that happened in 2020 before he went on trial. Before he became a juror, he had biases against Derek Chauvin. Some things you don't need in a juror. You want them to be non-biased. You want them to hear all of the evidence, all of the testimonies, and then make their decision from that. You don't want them to come in with a conceived notion of, this was done to me, this person's wrong, so therefore I'm a vote that he goes to jail. Y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want that at all. Not in your trial if you're convicted of a crime, nor do you want that with you being someone that's a juror in a criminal trial like this. You want to be as non-biased as possible so you can make the right decision. So when you go home at night, you can be like, I believe I made the right decision. So I don't feel bad about this. That's how you should feel at the end of all this. So that's why I still believe that I believe a jury should be a job. Just like you go to your 9 to 5, being a jury member should be a 9 to 5 job. Because you got to remember, however many employees that, a court would hire to do that job, they then would need this to happen. They would need people who they interview, just like cops. They'll have to do like an extensive background check because you now become an officer of the court. That's what should happen. That's just me personally. They're overturning a lot of shit in this country now. Why don't you overturn jury selection? Just make it a job. How about that? Get back to this music. All right, so let's see where I'm at. So David said this. These statements spurred questions as potential jurors were queried about any history of abuse during the selection process. It's the same thing that happened with juror number 5 in the Chauvin case, and he was on camera during the jury selection interviews. If he had any biases against Derek Chauvin, if he participated in any of the protests that happened during the Summer of Love. He said no to all of them. With that being said, they then found out that he was a part of a Washington, D.C. He said it wasn't a protest, but it was something for Dr. King. I guess it was like celebrating civil rights or something like that, I believe. And when they found it out, it was too late. He was already a juror, and there was only, I believe, like 3 alternates at the time. So, or maybe 4 alternates at the time. So it's like they really had not a lot of room, because it was another juror as well. I forgot her name, but she was an alternate juror. She had biases as well. So, you know, a lot of bullshit was happening during that time. So let's see. So the questionnaire for prospective jurors asks, have you or a friend ever been the victim of sexual harassment, sexual abuse, or sexual assault? That was the question. The prosecution and defense both asked Judge Allison Nathan to investigate Maxwell's lawyers after lawyers asked for a new trial, claiming David should never have sat on the jury. This is the same thing that they said about juror number 5 in the Derek Chauvin case. His lawyer basically asked for a new trial because juror number 5 basically, in a way, tainted the trial in a way. And the Judge Cahill said, nah. He was like, nah, cuz we already here. We're already in the proceeding. It's going to take even more time now to redo all this than it would to just keep going. Now, when I say Judge Cahill instructed his court lawfully, maybe, but denying a request from a lawyer who believes that that the case is tainted, that's, I don't know, that only goes to who believes that that the judge did the court wrong. Do I believe that? Nah, I believe Derek Chauvin should have went to jail for his bullshit. Do I believe that there should have been a mistrial to then retry it? Possibilities sometimes run in my head. What would have happened if it was retried? But you know, Derek Chauvin now just got 21 more years added onto his 22 years. So he has 22 federal time, he has 22 state time and 21 federal time. I don't know if those are going to run concurrent with each other and with whatever time he's already served. I don't know if they'll be running concurrent or if he'll have to finish his 22 years in his state prison sentence and then go off to federal court to then do his 21 years. Who knows? So he might have 43 years or he might just only have 23 years. Who knows? So concurrent would be 23 because they would just add on an extra year from the 21, and then if it's not, he'll be doing 43 years in jail. So he's in jail for the rest of his life, basically. So Nathan called David to testify publicly on March 8th about his omission. David claimed that he was distracted while rushing through the questionnaire, calling his omission an honest mistake. Nathan rejected Maxwell's request for a new trial based on David's error, saying she thought his answer was truthful, and would not have been stricken for cause even if he had answered each question on the questionnaire accurately. Now, I'm almost done. Now, let's get into part 2 of this. Prosecutors asked that Ghislaine Maxwell spend at least 30 years in prison. Do I have that video? I don't think I have that video. I think I took it down. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I played that video already. It's the other one. It's the first one that I'm looking for. The video, I played the video already, the first part, which the second part the first video I'm looking for is something else. Everything you need to know as social aid facing sentencing over sex trafficking. So, all right, I guess I'll just go on with the article because I already played the video. So, federal prosecutors in Manhattan writing that Ghislaine Maxwell has chosen to conspire with Jeffrey Epstein for years, working as partners in crime and causing devastating harm to vulnerable victims. Asked the judge on last Wednesday night to sentence her to at least 30 years, or she could spend much of the rest of her life in prison. Ms. Maxwell was convicted on December 29th on 5 out of 6 counts she faced, including sex trafficking, after a month-long trial in which witnesses testified that she helped Mr. Epstein recruit, groom, and abuse underage girls. Ms. Maxwell's lawyers, in a brief last week, asked the judge, Alison J. Nathan, to impose a sentence below the 20-year recommendation by the court's probation department. The lawyers suggested that the government had decided to prosecute Ms. Maxwell after Mr. Epstein's suicide in 2019 to appease his victims and repair the tarnished reputations of the Justice Department and the Bureau of Prisons, in whose custody the disgraced financier died. Ms. Maxwell's trial focused primarily on events from 1994 to 2000. A period when she and Mr. Epstein recruited girls for him to abuse. Prosecutors charged. The government presented its case The government presented this case over 10 days. There are 24 witnesses. They included four women, all now adults, whose cases were at the center of the indictment. Two of the women testified that Mr. Epstein began engaging in sex with them when they were only 14. Ms. Maxwell was sometimes present in the encounters. I'm sorry, my mouth is like fucking watering like a motherfucker. I'm so sorry. Now, they included four women, all adults now, whose cases were at the center of the indictment. Two of the women testified that Mr. Epstein began engaging in sex with them when they were only 14. Ms. Maxwell was sometimes present in the encounters. One woman testified. The other said Ms. Maxwell had directly molested her by touching her breasts. And in the government sentencing brief, prosecutors said Mr. Epstein could not have committed his crimes without Ms. Maxwell, who provided a cover of respectability to Epstein that elude the victims. I guess they meant lure, but it's spelled Lulled. Never seen that word before, but let's see. Lawed? I don't know. Never seen it. Lawed. Okay, here we go. The government sentencing brief, prosecutor said Mr. Maxwell did not have committed without. Okay, said that already. Epstein that lulled the victims and their families into false sense of security. The government, indeed, the government said Ms. Maxwell worked with Mr. Epstein to select victims whom she knew were vulnerable to exploitation. Now, here's the juicy part. Exploitation. It says exploitation. Girls. I don't know what the middle word would have been, but exploiting the girls would have been better. From family struggling to make ends meet. The daughters of single mother households and children of drug addicts. Do you know what the hell that's called when people do that? That's called what is that called? They would have to covet these girls. They would have to seek them out, know like what their lifestyle is as far as like their household, and then recruit these girls. You just won't know off the street that these girls are in single parent households. Their parents abuse drugs and their families are struggling to make ends meet. How would you know that unless you go to either poor communities or you seek them out somehow? That's the only way that I believe that could have happened. But man, who knows, man? Like, it's a lot of funny shit that happens when it comes to these types of cases. For the simple fact that there were there were like legal officials and all sorts of like celebrities and shit that know him. CEOs such as Bill Gates and shit like that. Like he knew the person. So hey man, which they said that Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein were best friends. So let's put that into account. Hey man, who knows? You know what's gonna come of this? Who knows if she'll appeal and she'll win? But let's hope that she doesn't and she spends the rest of her fucking life in jail. Because the egregious acts that she committed along with Jeffrey Epstein is abysmal. Just like our Pied Piper in R&B, Mr. R.Kelly. Mr. R.Kelly. He has been convicted and, well, he's been sentenced to 25 years, but his sentencing comes at the end of this month. So, yeah, with that being said, let's get into the video and let's do this.
A prolific serial predator. That's how New York federal prosecutors described R. Kelly after he was given a sentence that his Chicago attorney says could impact his trial here. For the people he hurt, it was bittersweet vindication.
I never thought that I would be here to see him be held accountable.
The 55-year-old Kelly barely flinched as he was sentenced to 30 years in prison on federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges.
It's probably because he didn't understand none of the words that y'all was saying. That's why.
Prosecutors alleging he wasn't just an abuser, but the leader of a criminal enterprise that intimidated victims into silence.
Now, this is what I have a problem with. My eyes. Something's in my damn eyes. Anyway, this is one thing I have a problem with. They said that he acted under a criminal enterprise, correct? But he is the only person that was prosecuted in his criminal enterprise. A criminal enterprise has a lot of working parts, has a lot of members, and he was put up on RICO charges, which is racketeering. How did he act alone? He had staff members that came out on various shows and basically said that they knew about the shit, but they just didn't say anything because they was afraid that Mr. Kelly, or what they called him, would fire them. Now, what would be the correct litigation for that, for the rest of his criminal enterprise? Because he did work with a criminal enterprise, because this man's illiterate, all right? Not saying that he's not smart in some way. He's musically gifted like a motherfucker. I've never bought none of his albums, but I'm just saying, I believe this, like on the real. There's a lot of moving parts with this. You have Robert at the top. Then you have his staff, which would be his managers, whoever else, his assistants, whatever. Because I'm pretty sure they was around him at some of these points. Because we also heard that he would have girls in the studio that looked young. A lot of accounts have came out of a lot of artists stating that most of them saw those young girls in the studio. So you have Robert and his staff. After that should be the girls themselves, because they then help recruit other girls. So, because we heard in Surviving R. Kelly that most of them said, yes, I engaged in sexual acts with girls that were younger than me. Most of them were 19. And some of the girls that they were having intercourse with was all of the age of maybe between 14 to 16 years old. Why aren't they being brought up on charges? Not only that, the parents who then served their kids up on a silver fucking platter, why aren't they being prosecuted as well? If we're getting Robert for 30 years, the rest of these fools should be at least getting 15 to 20 for their involvement in this shit as well. Why the fuck is it that just R.Kelly got prosecuted for 30 years? Why is it that he only got 30 years? Why is it that Robert just wasn't alone? Let's just put it like this. Robert wasn't alone in this. All right? R. Kelly's no longer R. Kelly anymore. He's now Robert. We would now call him Robert from this point on. So Robert, let me bring Robert back up. So Robert basically now is facing 30 years by his damn self. Hey Rob, when you appeal, you should start telling. That's what you should do. Every girl who was served up by their parents, get their asses too. All the girls that you got into a relationship with when they were 17, and if you had them recruit girls, they also should be prosecuted. So put their names in the goddamn mix, as well as this. Did I say the parents already? Put the parents in there too. Your staff members, they should be prosecuted. Hell, when I get to staff, check this out. There was a girl, and you will see her later. I will point her out to you because she will be wearing orange. She said that she would help him recruit girls to bring them to the studio. Most of those girls got sexually abused. Is she not at fault for that? Is she not at fault for that? Is any of the other girls who were prosecuted, for all the girls who then brought either their friends or other chicks that they probably met at the local mall in whatever cities that they were in, why aren't they being prosecuted as well? This is a tangled web that has to be unwoven, basically. Like, it is this has so many variables in it. You couldn't even solve this shit on a math test. Like, this shit is so complex in a way that you would have to get help to solve this shit. This shit is crazy for the simple fact that, yes, Robert... Okay, let's put it like this. Robert was abused in his younger years by his sister for like 7 years or something like that. From 7 to 14, he was being sexually abused by his older sister. So was his brothers. So all these motherfuckers have mental disorders. All right. So with that being said, you also now have someone who's never been through a mental evaluation to see where his brain is at. For all we know, from him being illiterate, he probably had a brain of maybe a 15 to 16-year-old. Probably the reason why he felt so comfortable around young girls. Is that a reason for him to abuse? No. But he thought in his mind that, hey, I'm famous. They seem like they ready. Maybe I should make the move to see what's up. Now, all of these girls aren't victims. just letting you guys know that right now. All these girls ain't victims. Now, with the Jeffrey Epstein shit, those girls kept coming back for that $200. Just like all of these girls came back for whatever amount of money that Rob was giving them when he wasn't fucking with them. Because a lot of them was paid somewhere around like $2,000 each time they did a favor for Robert. Is that right? Hell no, that's not right. But I would say you are now an employee of a criminal organization if you're now accepting money from a criminal. That's just my personal thoughts. That's just what I think. I could be wrong. But with that being said, that goes back to my question. Why is just Robert being implicated in these sex trafficking crimes if the rest of them aren't? Hell, fucking his first manager, which was Aaliyah's uncle, fucking went to a Chicago courthouse, changed Aaliyah's legal age to a false age, was able to get both of them married just so if she was pregnant to get the abortion, because now they have both the wife's consent and the husband's consent to get this abortion, and now they can now annul the marriage and then go their separate ways. All these girls, you got to remember some of the places where they said that they met him at. The Rockstar McDonald's in Chicago. Malls. Hell, one of the girls I'm going to bring up here, the Spanish chick that was in the documentary, you remember her story. They was at the mall. I guess Robert saw her, sent the security guard over, and said, "Hey, this is let me get your phone number and stuff like that, so Mr. Kelly can call you later, so y'all can work on some music or whatever the fuck was going on." Right? Her and her friend got excited. Her friend helped her pick out an outfit, did her makeup so she could go and see R.Kelly. Now, if she wanted to go over there to see Robert, this is somewhere around in the early 2000s, right? So the Aaliyah shit was all over the place by that time. That shit happened in like 94, 95. Yeah, around about 94, 95. I'm pretty sure she heard about that. She wasn't that young not to know what the fuck happened. Now, with that being said, I believe when she met him, it was after that sex tape came out. And you gotta remember, the sex tape came out in 2002. Was it 2002? Yeah, 2002. Because I remember my homeboy's dad had the shit. I never saw it, so y'all can't be like, well, you watch child porn. Never watched it. Never seeked it out. Never wanted to see it. I don't care for it. I don't need to watch it. So, with that being said, let's bring up the staff again. Let's bring up Sparkle, his protege, right? Sparkle was on the documentary and said that Robert then got a hold of her niece. But how would he get a hold of your niece if you wouldn't have known your niece in the first place if you never brought her around him? Sparkle should be put up on charges because she helped a criminal in the criminal enterprise. She helped a criminal in a criminal enterprise go through and execute what they usually do. She should be implicated in these same charges of racketeering and shit, just like R.Kelly. Nobody who was around this man should be good right now. They should be scared for their fucking life just in case a lawyer's like, you know what, I'm tired of this shit. They brought this man up on charge, but they said he had a criminal enterprise. But how do you have a criminal enterprise by your fucking self? There's more people. There's more people that should be implicated in this shit. Do I feel sorry for the real victims out there who actually was abused by this man? Fuck yeah. I'm sorry for that. But for all the ones who was on that goddamn documentary, especially that chick that was what, like 15, 16, going to his trial back in 2004, she skipped school in support of R. Kelly and then was like, I was abused by R. Kelly. But bitch, you would have never been abused if you would have never went fucking down to that to downtown to that fucking courthouse. You would have never met the man. Is she a part of this? Because she did say, I believe, I could be wrong. I believe she said that she also had sexual encounters with young girls. Why isn't she brought up on charges as well? Like, this shit is fucking insane. How you just gonna convict a man for some shit that he had help with? I'm just saying, man.
Sentencing sends a clear message that no amount of money or fame is enough to evade justice.
There was no enterprise. It was one man with allegations.
The hell if it wasn't an enterprise, then that's his lawyer right there. So of course she'll say that. But there was an enterprise. I need some for my damn mind. The hell if it wasn't a fucking enterprise. You're out your goddamn mind. Let's keep going.
A number of women, which doesn't make it an enterprise. And that is why he's not guilty of racketeering.
Earlier, Kelly with his eyes down, as multiple women testified about what they endured as girls. One told Kelly, I literally wished I would die because of how low you made me feel. Another said, silence is a very lonely place.
Lizette, what did he do to your life?
Hold on. So, y'all see the girl that's in back of this woman here. I'm gonna point to her right there. She was on the documentary. She helped recruit girls. This is the funny thing. A YouTuber that I watch who is from Chicago, he said that she went to his church. He's seen her every fucking Sunday. And she was down to do the shit that Robert asked her to do. And she's up here and she was on the fucking documentary looking all innocent as if she had nothing to do with this shit. You had everything to do with some of them girls that you recruited that got abused by R. Kelly. She has everything to do with that.
He ruined it. There wasn't a day in my life.
Javante, that's her name. They have underneath of here victim, right? It's her name, and then underneath of it is victim. No. She is a cohort of this. It should be, if anything, you should put cohort / victim. But there was no implication on the documentary that she had sexual relations with R. Kelly. She did not present that in the documentary, that she got sexually abused by him. And then it's his wife, or his ex-wife. His his ex-wife, every goddamn interview she was on, she just starts hysterically crying out of no fucking where. Hold on, we just asked you a question about your stint with him. It's not that goddamn bad if you married the damn man. You was married to him, had what, 3 of his kids? You was with him what, like 9-10 years or something like that? Couldn't have been all that damn bad. Fuck out of here, yo.
Up until this moment, that I actually believe that the judicial system will come through for Black and brown girls.
The sentence comes 6.5 weeks before the start of Kelly's Chicago trial on child pornography and obstruction of justice charges.
Obviously, it's going to be an uphill battle here now, and I think with all this publicity, it's going to make it that much harder for them to pick a jury.
Kelly did not testify in the New York trial, in part, his lawyer says, because of the upcoming Chicago case. It's unclear if he's planning to take the stand here.
All right. I have more ranting to do, but let's get into this article. So R.Kelly, the R&B superstar known for his anthem, I Believe I Can Fly, which is no longer sung at elementary school graduations, deserves at least 25 years behind bars for sexually abusing women and girls. Prosecutors said in a memo filed Wednesday, or last Wednesday, I should say, or two Wednesdays. No, it was last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, in advance of his sentencing later this month, a New York City jury found R.Kelly guilty of racketeering and multiple other counts last year at a sex trafficking trial that was seen as a signature moment in the Me Too movement. Prosecutors allege that the entourage of managers and aides who helped Kelly meet girls and ensure their obedience amounted to a criminal enterprise. Several accusers testified in Lude. Hold on. I don't want to be wrong. Pretty sure it's Lord. Yeah, Lord. I was right. Lord details during the trial alleging that Kelly subjected his victims to perverse and sadistic whims when they were underage. Kelly used his fame, money, and popularity to systematically prey upon children and young women for his own sexual gratification. Prosecutors wrote in a filing, he continued his crimes and avoided punishment for them for almost 30 years and must now be held to account, prosecutors write. Kelly's lawyer have argued that he deserves only a maximum of about 17 years in prison under federal sentencing guidelines. Among multiple sordid allegations, jurors held testimony about a fraudulent marriage scheme hatched to protect Kelly after he feared he had impregnated R&B phenom Aaliyah in 1994 when she was just 15. Witnesses said they were married in matching jogging suits using a license, falsely listing her as 18 years old. He was 27 at the time. Aaliyah worked with Kelly, who wrote and produced her 1994 debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. She died in a plane crash in 2021 at the age of 22. I don't understand why this is important. I really don't. I don't understand why the fuck this is important. Anyway, the competing defense memo suggests prosecutors' arguments for a higher sentencing. Outreached by falsely claiming Kelly participated in the bribery of a public aid officer to produce an identification card that allowed the sham marriage to go forward. Kelly's lawyers also said it was wrong to assert he should get more time because he sexually abused one of his victims, referred to in court as Jane. after her parents innocently entrusted him to help her with her musical career. Let me finish this and I'm going to get to that. The record shows that Jane's parents directed Jane to lie to the defendant about her age and then encouraged her to seduce him. The papers say Kelly, 55, is scheduled to be sentenced on June 29th. So that was last week. But check this out. When it says Kelly's lawyers also said it was wrong to assert he should get more time because he sexually abused one of his victims, referred to as Jane, after her parents innocently entrusted him to help her with her musical career. That's the problem right there. That's the exact problem there. Why did you entrust a man that you don't know? Why are you entrusting a man that obviously you do not fucking know? That right there, people, is serving your children up on a platter. That's exactly what the fuck that is. You entrusted a man you don't know to help your daughter out with her musical career. Why? Now you had the Clary girl and you had the Savage girl. That was the last two remaining chicks to be with R.Kelly. They was both with him since they were like around 15, 16 years old, right? So the rumors are is that when they would get in trouble, he would have them eat feces. This is because in both of these girls, not like a lot of these girls, but these two girls both came from two-parent households, which the Savage family, the father and the mother, they basically had it to where they was calling Robert every day like, I want to talk to my daughter. You told me blah 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 blah. I'll be able to. Nah, nigga. Why is your daughter with R. Kelly? That's your fault. That's not his fault. That's your fault that your fucking daughter's there because you brought her there. You served your daughter up on a platter. Why isn't the Savage mother and father not implicated in these charges? Because you gotta remember, it's racketeering. Racketeering is for a criminal enterprise, such as the mob. They do this a lot with gangs now, where if one gang member does a crime, all of them go down. Hell, you could be a Crip, but not a Crip of the same caliber of the Crips or a Crip that committed the crime, but now you're implicated in this crime because you associate yourself and you're a member of the Crip gang organization. Why the fuck isn't these damn parents getting prosecuted? This shit is ridiculous. Why isn't the parents being prosecuted? They have a hand in this shit. It says right here that the parents innocently entrusted him to help her with her musical career. Nigga, you could have been there with him. But you gotta remember, Robert had rules. A parent couldn't be there with the child while he's creating because to him it fucks up his creativity. Right? So they would have to drop the kid off, but they did more than that. They allowed their children to live with him. But no musical career came up with it. So why is your daughter still there? You gotta remember, every single chick who are victims had musical dreams and aspirations to become a pop or R&B star. All of them. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. All of them. They had musical aspirations to be a pop or R&B superstar. But for some reason, they're not implicated in this shit? What the fuck is y'all talking about? This shit is crazy. So, convicted R&B singer deserves more years in prison. This is what Gloria Allred and this bitch, I don't see how she keeps coming up, man. She be everywhere, yo. Just a couple weeks ago, she was in there in LA for the Bill Cosby trial. Now she's in New York for this trial to help these, I won't even call most of them victims. I'll call most of them victims, but not all of them. Y'all remember his hairstylist? Y'all remember that shit? Where she basically was being paid no more than what, $200 or something like that, $150, $200 to do R. Kelly's hair. And then she said he sexually abused her. Look, lady, if you being sexually abused, why do you keep coming back to do his hair? If he sexually abused you, why didn't you? This is the same thing I have for those victims of Epstein's. Why didn't you go to the police, or why did you keep going back to do favors for this man? Why is it that you guys kept going back? I can't wrap my mind around that. Why is it that you kept going back? I don't understand. But then Gloria Allred, we all know her activist ass, her feminist ass, probably has a lot to do with this shit. I remember in the second part of Surviving R. Kelly, she was in it, describing legal matters, just as she did with Bill Cosby before R. Kelly. Now, they're saying a lot of this going on has nothing to do with Gloria Allred's case against Bill Cosby, but why is she here? Is she the lawyers of these women? Or do these women have lawyers themselves, but she's just aiding in the help of their lawyers to get R. Kelly convicted? Why is Gloria Allred always around when shit like this happens? That's what I want to know. What is her stake in this? What does she have to gain from this? Because it seems like she's always there when shit happens like this. So, you know, this shit's getting insane, yeah. So, let's get into this video. So, this is basically Gloria Allred and the victims talking about how they feel about the sentencing.
8 young girls. He was a skilled sexual predator who preyed on his victims, and after grooming them, he inflicted significant emotional and sometimes physical harm.
How's he a skilled sexual abuser if the nigga can't read nor write? Every damn song he's ever wrote was freestyle. I wish to think that I could not go on. All freestyle. If I believe it, then I can do it. I believe I can fly. All freestyle. Musically, yes, he's a genius. A skilled sexual abuser. I'm on the fence about that. Although he was skilled in, I guess, getting what he wanted, but executing it, I don't think he was that skilled in that. I believe he just used his fame to get pussy, just like every other fucking famous man right now is getting pussy off of their fame and relevance. Like, that's all it was. That's what the girls saw. He's famous, he's rich, and he's relevant. I want to fuck him. But you 16 fucking years old. You 16 years old thinking about fucking R.Kelly when you're failing fucking math class. Get the fuck out of here. Let's keep going.
On them, which in some cases will continue to hurt them for the rest of their lives. Much of the pain that they suffered because of him was evident as the victims read their victim impact statements today in court. They wanted the court to understand their pain and for the defendant to hear the harm that they've suffered as a result of the pain that he has inflicted on them. Although he had what he may have thought was a perfect scheme to sexually victimize his young victims, he underestimated their courage to fight back and assist law enforcement in making him accountable in a court of law.
What courage did they have to fight back? The money ran out. That's the reason why the documentary was made. That's the reason why all these women came up and said, I was sexually abused by R.Kelly. The money ran out. Or he wasn't fucking with him like that no more. All reasons to feel the way that they felt about him on the documentary. They didn't feel that way when they were being sexually abused, right? Oh, the rabbit hole gets deeper, people. Once the money get low, the hungriness shows. These females got fucking hungry as fuck, heard of a documentary, and said, I want to testify. I want my testimony on that documentary because I'm not getting paid to shut the fuck up no more. Sound familiar?
My clients, who were, by the way, the majority of the victims who testified in this case, were very courageous as they testified and were cross-examined and or spoke to law enforcement or testified before a grand jury to assist in the prosecution of R.Kelly. Together, they were able to fight his power by becoming empowered young women themselves, who refused to be intimidated by him and his enablers. I am proud of all of them. And there are many sacrifices made in order to bring R.Kelly.
She's proud, but this is the same woman that put up a billboard in L.A. stating, if you ever was sexually abused by Bill Cosby, please call this number. Most of the women never even met Bill Cosby, let alone had a sexual experience with him. That's for you, baby.
Finally, to the bar of justice. They have succeeded in making R.Kelly suffer the consequences of his criminal acts. In addition, they are relieved that he has been sent to prison for approximately 30 years because while he is in custody, he will not be able to continue to sexually victimize any other underage girls. And protecting other girls has been a major goal of theirs. And now...
All right, I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to keep it up, though. Let's get into this video. So, in a filing in Brooklyn federal court, prosecutors said Kelly exploited his stardom and wealth over a quarter century to lure women and underage girls for sexual for sex, demonstrating a callous disregard for his victims and showing no remorse. Indeed, the defendant's decades of crime appear to have been fueled by narcissism and a belief that his musical talent absolved him of any need to confront his conduct, no matter how predatory, harmful, humiliating, or abusive to others. To the strictures of the law, prosecutors said. But isn't that the same shit that happened with what's the Weinstein dude's first name? Not I'm gonna say Jeffrey Weinstein, but Weinstein, right? We gotta put this in perspective. Because at that one year's Oscars, I believe, or Golden Globes, a lot of those women who were sexually abused by Weinstein, right, thanked him for everything that he did for them. But she was sexually abused. Why are you saying then? I want to thank Jeffrey Epstein for allowing me the opportunity to be in this movie. It's like, hold on, lady. You came out later on and was like, yeah, he sexually abused me and I didn't like it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, hold on. You wasn't saying that like 2 years ago. You thanked him multiple times every time you won. So just stop it. All right? Stop. Now, Kelly, 55, who has been jailed since 2019, remains a serious danger to the public, justifying keeping him behind bars until well into his 70s. Prosecutors added. Jennifer Bonjean, a lawyer, it could be Bonjean, but I say Bonjean. I don't know. It could be French. A lawyer for Kelly has said he should spend fewer than 14 years in prison and will in a filing next Monday explain why his history and characteristics justify a shorter sentence. Bonjean's office declined to comment. Kelly, whose full name is Robert Sylvester Kelly, faces a minimum of 10-year term at his June 29 sentencing. He is among the most prominent people convicted of sexual misbehavior during the Me Too movement against such conduct by prominent men. Kelly's 5.5-week trial amplified accusations that had dogged him since the early 2000s. Testimony from 45 government witnesses included several of Kelly's abuse victims, portrayed in often graphic detail and unseemingly side to a music career highlighted by the 1996 Grammy-winning smash "I Believe I Can Fly." So, number one, subtitle 1, repeat offender. Now, let me. Is this the same video? Yeah. So I gotta draw this back a little bit. So, bam.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Steve Francis, the Executive Associate Director for Homeland Security Investigations, HSI. Robert Kelly once said, if you're going to tell your life story, you got to be honest or don't do it. Over the course of this HSI-led multi-year investigation and 6-week trial, a jury of Mr. Kelly's peers confirmed what these courageous victims have known for a very long time. Mr. Kelly is not an honest person. This man is a prolific serial predator who utilized his status as a Grammy Award-winning household name with global recognition to inflict pain and anguish on so many victims. Despite numerous reports of his destructive abuse over the years. The brazen acts of intimidation against his accusers kept him shielded from prosecution until HSI, the U.S. Attorney's Office from the Eastern District of New York, and these incredible prosecutors and NYPD initiated an investigation into his criminal organization. Today's sentence is a victory that belongs to the brave victims who came forward. Despite intense public scrutiny, despite social media slander, despite threats to their own health and safety, and despite being asked to relive the pain of some of the most traumatic days in their lives, they told their stories and they made their voices heard. Today's sentencing sends a clear message that no amount of money or fame is enough to evade justice. And the money, power, and fame will not buy you immunity in the United States. And the United States government will hold you accountable for any atrocities you commit. Mr. Kelly led a criminal enterprise with his entourage to prey on the young and vulnerable by dangling promises of fame, fortune, and stardom. By the time his victims saw...
Is that what he was dangling? I don't believe that's what he was dangling. But people, I have to use the bathroom, so we are going to pause this. We're going to take a pause for the calls, and we'll be right back in 1 minute. All right. So, let's get back into this video.
Through the empty promises, it was too late. Mr. Kelly attempted to silence these victims through bribery, intimidation, blackmail, and physical violence. He once sang that sometimes the silence can be so loud. Thankfully, these brave victims and true survivors will be heard forever, while Mr. R.Kelly will be left alone in a jail cell in silence for many, many years to come. It is comforting to now know that not only the loud noise will hear every day is his prison cell door slamming shut behind him. No matter how many hit songs he may have released, his legacy will not be remembered by that of his voice, but by the voices of the brave women and men who came forward to reveal to the world the monster that R. Kelly truly is. Mr. Kelly underestimated the bravery and resilience of those he once preyed upon when they were young and vulnerable. These victims are the unsung heroes today. Today is about them. Today is their day. Today is their victory. Thank you. What took you so long?
All right. So, I have this video where you'll get to hear from the victim. I have to fast forward this. But that's for the next part. So before I do that, right, there we go. Exactly where I need to be. Now, witnesses said Kelly would demand that his victims strictly obey rules as needed, his permission to eat or go to the bathroom, calling him daddy, and writing apology letters that purported to absolve him of wrongdoing. The defendant severely physically and psychologically scarred all of his victims repeatedly and consistently. Prosecutor said, but this nigga would tell every chick that he didn't know how to read or write. So they had something against him. They would write the letters and then read it in front of him because the nigga don't know how to fucking read. What psychological damage could he have done? This is crazy. All right, I'm sorry. The government has little doubt that if afforded an opportunity to offend again, the defendant would. Much of the case turned on accusations related to 6 women. They included the singer Aaliyah, whom prosecutors said Kelly fraudulently married when she was 15 to conceal abuse from when she was 12 or 13. Damn. Which makes me bring this up. I think I brought this up last week. What is that song? Where he goes, I think it's called "She's Got It" or whatever the hell it's called. He says in the song, and Aaliyah was 13, I believe, if not 12 at this point. He says, "Little Aaliyah's got it." Whatever the fuck the song's called. But if you guys don't remember that song, I'm not asking y'all to fucking listen to it, but I am saying this: go back, go to the song, and listen to him say, "Little Aaliyah's got it," and it was talking about, I believe, a woman's body. Like I believe that's what the song was about. That a woman got it all. Like she got breasts, hips, ass, thighs, all that. Like I believe that's what the song was about. She's pretty, and he put Aaliyah's name in it. Why? Who has? I don't know. But anyway, Aaliyah died in 2021. Jurors needed a little over a day to convict Kelly last September 27th on all 9 counts he faced. The charges included racketeering and 8 counts of violating the Mann Act, which prohibits transporting people across state lines for prostitution. Many of Kelly's accusers were black, differentiating his conviction from those of comedian Bill Cosby and movie producer Harvey Weinstein. That's his name, Harvey Weinstein. Since #MeToo began in 2017. So let's put this in perspective, y'all. The Mann Act says, which prohibits transporting people across state lines for prostitution. The bitches was only fucking him, no one else. No one else had dibs on fucking these girls. Only R.Kelly. Now, how was they put across state lines for prostitution? Why? Because he was paying them $2,000 a pop every time he fucked these bitches? He wouldn't pay them when they got there. He would pay them when they would go. He'd be like, all right, it's time to go home. Pay you $2,000. I'll see you next time. So, this is my implication. Who was taking these bitches? Was they riding with him? You gotta remember, that whole front row at his concerts was all his bitches. Or a section, just all his bitches. And those bitches would then seek out other girls, right? He'll look at he'll look at his bodyguard and go, yo, the 15-year-old chick right there in the red, get one of the girls to go and get her. He's the only one caught on racketeering charges when it was a criminal, as they say, a criminal enterprise. A criminal enterprise is more than just one person. He would just be a criminal, a sexual deviant at that point. He wouldn't be a what's the word I'm looking for? He wouldn't be implicated in sex crimes. This makes no sense. Let's keep going. Oh, I'm sorry, not yet. Not yet. Cosby's conviction was overturned last June. Kelly has reportedly denied sexual abuse accusations. Keep in mind, also faces federal charges in Chicago and child pornography and obstruction and state charges in Illinois and Minnesota. But Chicago is in Illinois because that's what he's facing. Anyway, he's facing federal and state charges in Chicago, and he has, I guess, child pornography charges in Minnesota. Because, yeah. But anyway, next part. His victims say, lock R.Kelly up and throw away the key. This is them saying, talking about this.
Hello everyone, my name is Lizette Martinez, and I just want to thank Gloria. I want to thank the prosecutors. I want to thank the judge. Today was a very special but hard day for us. I personally, this happened to me a long time ago. I was 17, I'm 45 today. I never thought that I would be here to see him be held accountable for the atrocious things that he did to children.
She's 10 years younger than him. So when did that shit happen? Let's say it happened in 1994, right? That means he was 27, she was 17. Not saying that that's, okay. But this is what I am saying. Bitch, run. All right? Why the fuck did you stay? Why was you around this man? Why didn't your parents or parent teach you not to be around men that's older than you? Not to be around men at 17 any fucking way. Who the fuck are these people's parents, yo? Like, man, shut the fuck up.
I don't know what else to say except that I'm grateful. I'm grateful for today. And I'm grateful that Robert Sylvester Kelly is away and will stay away and will not be able to harm anyone else. Thank you.
What did he do to your life?
He ruined it.
Tell us how.
Y'all know she's not crying, right? That's what the sunglasses are for, is to hide her actual emotions. You know she's not crying, right?
Was an up-and-coming singer. I was a girl.
Why didn't we never hear from you, Lizette Martinez? You was an up-and-coming singer. We never heard of you, Lizette. You was never on a song of his, unless you sung background. But as selfish as R.Kelly is, he did all of his background vocals.
Of life, very innocent but very driven, and preyed upon basically at the mall in Aventura, Florida, and promised.
That's the chick I was talking about. She's the one who she wouldn't be 45 now though. She wouldn't be 45 now. She met him back in 2000 something. Let's check the record. Let's say they met in 2004. She was 17 in 2004. I was 15 in 2004. So that means, yeah. So he met her in the 90s. something's not adding up. Because if I believe that this is the chick, Lizette Martinez, the chick that was on the R. Kelly documentary. Yo. Yo, she lied on the documentary. Because that's the same chick I was talking about. Right here. That's Lizette Martinez. She said in 2000 she met him in what was it, Florida Mall somewhere or whatever. She said in the 2000 she met him. It says here in 95 Martinez then 17 while with friends met R. Kelly. Right? She said that happened in 2002 in the documentary. So she's lying. I said 2002. She said somewhere in 2000. I'm not pinpointing. It was early 2000s. That's when she said, but it says here in 95. Maybe I need to watch the documentary over again. No stranger to singers' abuse is Lizette Martinez, who was featured in the documentary in 1995. Martinez, then 17, while with friends met R. Kelly at a local mall. I don't know. Shit.
It's a mentorship and quickly turned into, I would just say, a sex slave.
How far dependent? Is 30 years enough? Do you think 10 is enough?
I personally don't think it's enough, but I'm pleased with it. It's fine. No comment. Okay.
Thank you for your bravery.
Thank you.
Now, this is Javon.
Good afternoon. I am Javante. My name is Javante. I started this journey 30 years ago.
Now, this is the very chick right here, Javante, who was a part of R. Kelly's entourage during its inception, right? So, she helped R. Kelly recruit girls, if I'm not mistaken. She helped him recruit girls, right? And not only that, she was the one who said that R. Kelly had sex with Aaliyah. Very personal. She said she was on the tour bus when that happened. Now, let's get back to her recruiting chicks. He told her, yo, bring all your friends, you know what I'm saying? Let's make this like a party, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? We got McDonald's over there, we got all the fries and shit. We got cheeseburgers and shit. Like, just bring your friends, something's going, you know, it's catered and shit by the McDonald's cafeteria. And, you know what I mean? We gonna have some orange juice and sodas and shit. Just tell them, come on through, you know what I mean? That was her who brought her friends and other local Chicago girls to R. Kelly's recording studio. Very one. She admits it in the documentary. The very person. Why isn't she brought up on charges? And if she was so into church, as the YouTuber I brought up earlier said, where was her parents? Why did they allow their, let's see, I think she was 16 at the time. Why did they allow their 16-year-old daughter to go on tour with a 27-year-old man? That shit don't make sense. Y'all remember when I said the parents were serving their kids up on a platter? That's what makes her a victim, but also a cohort. I'm gonna allow her to state her case.
14 years old when I encountered Robert Sylvester Kelly. There wasn't a day in my life up until this moment that I actually believed that the judicial system would come through for Black and brown girls. I stand here very proud of my judicial system, very proud of my fellow survivors, and very pleased with the outcome. 30 years did he do this, and 30 years is what he got.
And you helped. So you should get at least half that. Or for the time he was there, because he got 30 years for the 30 years that he did it. So however much time you was around him, that's how much time you should get as well. For allowing your friends to enjoy McDonald's with a 27-year-old man and then getting them sexually abused, if it happened. It's just ridiculous, man.
I thank the prosecution. I thank my attorney, Gloria Aldridge, and I thank all of you all that have stood.
She said Gloria Aldridge. It's Aldridge. All red.
Support of us for so long.
Why did it take the police so long? Why did it take the police so long? You frustrated it took so long for you to get justice?
I can't speak to why it takes anyone the amount of time that it takes, but they've done their homework, they've presented their case, and now we have justice in our judicial.
But their homework was the documentary. The documentary, look, a lot of them girls started out there, I met R.Kelly, and then y'all fill in the blank, which was always the same. I met him at the Rockstar McDonald's. I met him when he came to my city at the mall. Look, I know R&B and rap superstars, they go to malls, they either shut malls down or they, go to malls so they can meet people, get the vibe of what's going on in their city or whatever. So if they ever made any music, I want to get that vibe from Miami when I went there just 2 months ago because I feel like that fits this song. I understand that. Now, most of those girls screamed at the top of their fucking lungs, R. Kelly, blah, 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 blah. But you 16 fucking years old. Getting the number of an R&B superstar and then going to the recording studio. Because you feel as though that this could be your big break. That shit don't make sense to me at all. Let's keep going.
System.
Were they not listening to black women? Was there a problem around race here? Were they not listening to black women?
They were not paying attention to the details that were being articulated to them. I won't say that they were not paying attention. I will say that they were not listening for detail. Being in a situation as such affords you the ability to be re-victimized over and over again in different areas of your life. When you are taught to be quiet and to keep silent about things that should be spoken about openly, you find yourself reclused, and that often affords people the ability to manipulate you.
I wish they had good audio of what the I don't know what to call our audience member or whatever the fuck. They should have, somebody please isolate what that person just said. Because I don't even know what the hell she said, and I feel as though that is important. This is why. Because she probably said something that a lot of people are saying. She's probably saying something that I said.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't hear you over.
I'm sorry.
Society. When people are telling you that you're not telling the truth and there's no support for you,
silence me. Society silenced you. How did society silence you? You stopped working for a reason. I believe she said it on the documentary. You stopped working for him, which meant you now want to. Well, look, man. I wish I had that. I wish I had the audio of the scene in New Jack City when Wesley Snipes' character pops up and says, "There's been a lot of lies told at this dinner table tonight, but this you can believe." I wish I had that audio. I'm gonna find it tonight. Because, man, society silenced you because of people not believing you. Lady, you could have came out when he was being prosecuted in Chicago the first time. That's when you could have testified and told your story. But you didn't. Several years later, a decade or so later, you then come out and say on the documentary, I was sexually assaulted, but I did help him. Though I helped him at first, like I helped him with like recruiting girls and stuff. Other than that, like I didn't have no involvement in it. What? What are you talking about? You recruited girls for him. Y'all enjoyed Lunchables and stuff with Robert. Y'all had Capri Suns and what's that damn snack called I used to have when I was a little kid? Dunkaroos. Y'all had Dunkaroos and all kinds of shit. Had those juices with the faces on them. I forgot what those is called too. You had the high C Slimer Ecto coolers. You also had those juices that had the faces on them, where when you put the pill in them, which was like a flavor pill, it turned the juice a different color and it was a different flavor. That's what y'all was doing at Robert's recording studio. All 14 and so years old, being around a 27-year-old man. I'll be goddamned if I allow that shit around me. How old are y'all, motherfuckers? If y'all get the fuck out of here, there's grown people shit going on over here. All y'all get the fuck out. The fuck is wrong with these people, man?
I say, crime. When you heard the 30 years, when you heard the sentence,
Absolutely.
How do you feel now?
Last question.
How do you feel now?
Overwhelmed.
1
1 second.
All right, that was the end of that. So, one of R.Kelly's many victims thinks the Fed's recommendation of 25 years in prison is too low, and instead he should spend the rest of his days behind bars. Lizette Martinez tells TMZ, Kelly's more than earned a life sentence due to the fact he's hurt so many people over several decades. Excuse me, this is the only way that he hurts a lot of people in your eyes, because when y'all went to him and was like, I want to be a singer, I want to be a famous singer, like that's my dream. Like I just want to, be in a different city every night and like sing all my songs for people and blah 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 blah. That's exactly what she means by he's hurt people. That's what she means. not hurt people by sexually abusing them. Because if you was being sexually abused, you would have told the fucking police, you would have told your mom, parents, wherever the fuck you had, you would have told every fucking body. To get this man locked up and put away for however much time that they give these fucking sex offenders, I believe they only give them like 5 to 7 years most of the time, maybe 8. But, you know, you chose to stay silent. Why? Like what the fuck, man? This shit is fucking ridiculous. Anyway, it goes on by saying this. She doesn't think his abuse will ever come to an end because, as federal prosecutors pointed out, the guy's proven multiple times he's using his power to get what he wants. But what fucking superstar doesn't? What superstar doesn't? Damn near every time we turn around, we're hearing that Chris Brown, a girl saying that Chris Brown sexually assaulted her. And I believe Chris Brown learned this from Lil Bow Wow. Lil Bow Wow said this, or Bow Wow, or Shad, we should call him. Shad said, when females come in his house, you sign an NDA and you gotta put your phone away. I believe Chris Brown learned that from Bow Wow. Because every time a chick goes over Chris Brown's house, she has to sign an NDA and you got to put the phones away. No phones are present when I get up here. None. Or when you get up here. No phones. I don't want any fucking phones out. If you take your phone out, you gotta go. It's that simple. You gotta go. Like, this is getting crazy. Will you name an artist that hasn't used their power to bring girls over to them? Hell, the way that y'all sound when y'all talking about them, when you're in your personal lives, it sounds like that y'all would jump these motherfuckers' bones by any means necessary. So y'all can stop with that bullshit. For the simple fact is this: if y'all feel as though that your favorite superstar is the most handsome person you ever seen, and if you ever met him, some shit will go down. This is what I've heard throughout my whole fucking life when it comes to either male singers or rappers or movie stars. If I ever met him, it's going down. That's what I've heard in my teenage years until now. Hell, I even had a girlfriend tell me if she ever met, several girlfriends tell me if they ever met Jim Jones, Chris Brown, Tyrese, who else? Tank, fucking Idris Elba, that they will fuck the shit out of them. This is from teenage years till now. But nobody ever wants to bring up that bitch that we went to school with that always got dropped off and picked up by her 21-year-old drug dealing boyfriend. Nobody ever wants to bring that shit up when she was all of 15 fucking years old. Nobody wants to bring that shit the fuck up. Ever. Nobody wants to bring that up. Oh, you can't say that for the simple fact that girl sexually being abused too, and he's committing statutory rape. She's consenting to it, although legally, yes, it is. It's a statutory rape, but between them, it's consensual sex. So kill that fucking noise with all that bullshit. But the simple fact is this. We all know that girl that said if they met their favorite, whatever male superstar, they would fuck. And we all know them bitches that had them older fucking boyfriends that we went to school with. Kill me with that bullshit. This world's going to hell. Let me finish this up. So, So I left off at power to get what he wants. So and he can be given the chance to prey on women again. Kitty Jones, another one of R. Kelly's victims. That was a chick that was outside of his 2004 trial. That young 16-year-old girl that is now, I believe, around my age. Let's see. One of R. Kelly's victims tells us she has no issue with the prosecutor's recommendation. However, no amount of time will give her and others back their time or remove their trauma. Both women were featured in the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries, which sparked renewed prosecution and ultimately Kelly's downfall. And they say they'll be present for his sentencing later this month. But check this out. When that when that Bill Cosby documentary came out, that's what sparked all that bullshit back again as well. So are you saying if we make a documentary about somebody who is known for sexually or allegedly sexually assaulting women, that they should be prosecuted? Is that what we're saying? So why doesn't all of Hollywood go down? Why doesn't the whole music industry go down? Hell, we got fucking multiple people like Drake and other artists who bring up 16-year-old girls on stage, be all in their face, real sexual like, and then when they be like, hey, how old are you? I'm 16. Oh gosh, I didn't know that. Nah, nigga. If I was a musical superstar and I was bringing people up on stage, bitch, you gotta be in your 50s to be up on the stage. I'm just telling y'all right now. If I'm looking in the crowd, I'm looking for the oldest looking chick in the crowd. Yeah, you see that big fat woman right there that look like she about 56 years old? Bring her up on stage. So I can just grind and do all kinds of bullshit to her. So later on, I'm not convicted of sexual assault or statutory rape or the Mann Act or committing sexual acts on a minor. None of that. She's 56 years old. I'm all of 33. So she's older than me. She knows what she's doing more than what the fuck I am. So I'm just saying. But yeah, man, that is today's episode, because a lot of this bullshit that I spoke about today was needed. As far as with the Miranda rights, Ghislaine Maxwell getting convicted, as well as R. Kelly getting convicted. All needed to be said the way that I said it today. But before we go, I have a special treat for you guys. DJ, the spectacular DJ Jazzy Jeff, longtime friend of Will Smith, has an interview with some nigga. Has an interview with some nigga about Will Smith's Oscar night slap to Chris Rock. This is what DJ Jazzy Jeff had to say about the night in question.
Everybody was shocked, but just from your perspective, where were you? What was it? Some stuff that you can share about the conversation you had with him after that.
What's crazy? When I remember looking at Bobby and Whitney, right? And I remember saying, that's my aunt and uncle. That's not Bobby and Whitney. That's my aunt and uncle. Same relationship. That's my aunt and uncle. My aunt and uncle weren't Bobby and Whitney, though. The light was on Bobby and Whitney. The light wasn't on my aunt and uncle. So I realized that it's different, but it still goes back to a human experience. I have known Will, almost 40 years. I know hundreds of times that I looked at him and was like, I do not know how you held it together. You are the most sensible. Yeah. You've always done that. my personal opinion, Will got a lot of stuff off his chest with that book.
Great book.
Great, incredible
Amazing.
book.
Great.
But when we all went to Miami and he, had for a book reading and he read the book to everybody, wanted to make sure everybody was cool with what he said. And I walked out saying, I am nowhere near writing a book.
Hold on. Will Smith has a series here on YouTube. You can watch that series, and there's an episode where he reads the book to Jazzy Jeff, his mother, and his kids. And basically you get a snippet of the book a little bit to see what the book is about. And you hear everything that, he marks stuff off if he doesn't want it in, or, he has to approve. They be like, yeah, fuck with it. And then the cycle goes on to him telling the story or stories to other people or whatever. Then he has a lot of people. He has psychologists, he has other book writers there, or other authors, I should say. They're taking notes and letting them know, part when you said blah, 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 this, and that. Like, it was very compelling, blah, blah, blah. Watch that show, because it's also when Will, because everybody, y'all remember when Will took the Instagram picture and he had the dad bod or whatever. That coincides with that, because he's trying to lose weight. I believe he said he got like 30 pounds overweight or 20 pounds overweight or something like that. So not only while he's trying to lose the weight, he's also writing the book. So I suggest you guys to go and type in Will Smith, go to his channel, and it's right there.
So nowhere near writing a book. The level of honesty, I realized I'm not ready for that. Like, I'm not ready to tackle it. Like,
you want to be that.
You know
open.
what? Like, you start to realize that there's certain things in my life that I buried for a reason, and I ain't trying to dig them up.
Yeah,
he done everything,
bro. When he was talking about the exes and I'm like, he had to be honest.
Everything up.
I was like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I think all of this was a very bad lack in judgment, but we'll open that book up talking about the relationship with his dad and his mom. Yeah. Will has been protecting his mom ever since he was a kid. He's been trying to make up for watching the situation between his dad and his mom. Will has been protecting every woman that has been in his life ever since that. Will was protecting his woman.
Yeah.
Will was protecting. Now, that shouldn't have did it.
Yep.
Shouldn't have did it. But there was a side that I'm sitting there like, wow, how much conviction do you have that not just you, we waited all of our life for this moment. Yeah. We talked about this moment. The moment didn't matter more than protecting my wife. I felt like I needed to protect my wife. So I'm like, it was, and what was crazy, it was slow motion for me.
Really?
Oh man, I was sitting in the bed. I'm super excited. And I was just like, when it happened and I saw him walk up there, the one thing that I will say, because I've had people like, oh, he wouldn't have did that to no gangster. Oh, he wouldn't have did. Let me let you know something about Will. Will is somebody that cliff dove in Jamaica and couldn't swim. Will was the person that whatever he's afraid of, he runs to. I ain't got that in me. I don't have that in me at all. And I've watched Will almost die numerous of times running straight. Will would have slapped Mike Tyson. It did not matter who was there. Will would have got his beat. But he was going to do what he was going to do regardless of who it was.
Now, coming from a lifelong friend like DJ Jazzy Jeff, right? Who better to ask anyone about Will Smith other than the marvelous, the magnificent DJ Jazzy Jeff? Who better? can't really think off the top of your head. Who's the only person who I would think to ask about Will Smith's life other than his immediate family, his kids, and his wife? Who else would I ask? DJ Jazzy Jeff. This is the very man who got signed the same time, because you gotta remember, out of Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Gotta remember, Jazzy Jeff was the star of the albums back in the 80s, before Will Smith took up his name, Will Smith, on his albums. He said he would have smacked Mike Tyson that night. Now, who the fuck is crazy enough to do that? Right? A lot of motherfuckers is afraid of Mike Tyson. I wouldn't even think about smacking Mike Tyson. And I'm taller and bigger than Mike Tyson. But my hands ain't like Mike Tyson's. I'll tell you that now. I could probably get a lick off, but other than that, well, nah, let me not downplay myself that much. I could probably get about 2 or 3 licks on Mike Tyson. But after that, it's probably all rib and belly shots after that for me. But other than that, I had a puncher's luck at that point. Let's continue though.
That's not. It wasn't for fake. It wasn't for show. It wasn't. It was.
You understood where it came from.
I have to protect. Yeah. I gotta protect. If that was a grizzly bear, he would have did it. I know him. So it wasn't who's harder, who's tough, who's this. It's kind of like, yo, if somebody is messing with your kid, you would do whatever you need to do. 100%. That's all it was. Was bad choice of judgment. And I think for me, what I didn't like is I'm sitting here like, this was one of them things that it was kind of like, yeah, there was a lot of people that undercover wasn't really happy for his success. And I'm just waiting. He had walked such a straight line that I was tripping that it was like, wow, he's probably one of the most unblemished people that I know.
Too perfect.
That everybody is coming down on him, saying, oh, he needs to go away forever. And I'm sitting here like, yo, I ain't trying to throw trash on nobody, but you see some these people do?
Yeah.
What did I say around when I was covering this Will Smith shit? One thing I said was I took what I said from the late Patrice O'Neal, comedy legend. All right. I said exactly what he said when Patrice was talking about Mel Gibson. Who the fuck gave y'all the permission to talk about this nigga? Like, on the real, who gave these niggas the permission to talk to this nigga, talk about this nigga? Everybody online, yeah, fucking Will Smith's a punk. He wouldn't smack August. But y'all failed to realize Will and Jada wasn't together when August and Jada was fucking around. When August said he gave me my his blessing, right? Because although they were married still, it's like, but I'm not fucking with that bitch right now like that. Like, I'm done with that bitch. Whatever you want to do, you good. I'm pretty sure he didn't call her a bitch, but still, he probably was like, look, do whatever the fuck you want with that bitch. I'm good, yo. I got like 8 bitches over here chilling in Dubai. We grooving, baby. What's up? You trying to come over too? I'll have about 5 bitches waiting for you right now. For a man to go, like Jazzy Jeff said, unblemished for the 30 years or so he's been in, 30, 40 years he's been in music and in movies and stuff like that. For Will Smith himself to go unblemished for so long, Mr. Box Office at a point in time. That was during my younger years. Independence Day and then Men in Black, back to back, came out back to back. I think I went to the movies to see both of them. Independence Day came out in 97. Men in Black came out in 98. Back to back. Box office summer smashes. Both were successful movies. What else did he do? 99 he did well, he doesn't like talking about Wild Wild West, but Wild Wild West to me actually was a good movie. That's to me. I like the movie. And then I believe in 2000, if not 2001, he did Bagger Vance. He was Bagger Vance. 2000, whatever the fuck. I forgot what other movies he's done because he has so many. But it's like, look, man, several successful albums, including his first one, his first album with Jeff, which was successful. Second one was a dud. Then he came out on his own moniker. Well, let me not forget about Summertime, because that was their last hit together. And Jeff and Will get paid off of Summertime every fucking summer. Well, every year they get paid off that song because that song is in constant rotation on the radio, and I'm pretty sure it gets streamed over and over during the summer. So they are really getting paid during the summertime months of every year. Jazzy Jeff, he ain't got to worry about shit. He's still DJ and stuff like that. But that's besides the point when I'm getting into a tangent. But for people to come out against Will Smith as if he did something wrong, like no one else has ever smacked the shit out of somebody before. For people to be going against this man for what? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, and people still are saying what Jeff said. He needs to go away forever, blah, blah, blah. He's a punk. He wouldn't have did that to so-and-so. If I'm pretty sure he wouldn't do that to this comedian. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have did that to that comedian. He only smacked Chris Rock is because he's smaller than him. It's like, what are you talking about? Chris Rock said some unforgettable shit years prior. Then he said some unforgettable shit this year, which made Will Smith smack the shit out of him. And a lot of motherfuckers talking about, well, you saw he shouted when he got back to his seat. He proved his point. He smacked the shit out of the nigga. What more do you want him to do? What, you want him to punch him? He shouted, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth when he sat back down. A lot of y'all niggas wouldn't even bust a grape in a fruit fight. So all of y'all who was talking shit should shut the fuck up. Or go and see Will Smith about what the fuck he was talking about. You saying he's a punk, test this gangster. This is what people forget, and I had to tell y'all when I was speaking on Will. Y'all forget that Will Smith comes from West Philly. West Philly ain't no fucking walk in the park. Will Smith grew up around, although he grew up around in a neighborhood probably where the fathers were all there, but you guys still remember, it's the inner fucking city. They still got to deal with motherfuckers out on the street corner and stuff like that. What y'all think, West Philly is a suburb, nigga? Go to West Philly. Go to West Philly right now. Go to West Philly, and you will be shown what Will Smith was interacting with, sort of, when he was growing up. Will Smith had drug dealing friends that helped him probably numerous times throughout his career. He still are friends with these people. It's just that he just saw another path to take in life. I'm going to do music, and then an opportunity for acting came his way. So now he's one of the biggest superstars to ever live. So y'all motherfuckers want to talk shit about a man that y'all spend good money at the theaters to see in all of his goddamn movies. Man, if y'all get the fuck out my face.
But it was just, it was one of those things. But, my whole thing was like, yo, that's my brother. You good? You good? You good? Making sure he's good. Once I realized he was good, he's like, I'm good. It was no way in the world that he knew what he did was wrong. He knew what he did was wrong right after that. But the thing that got me is I paid attention to the people who came out and said something. Because you know who didn't say anything? Tyler Perry, Oprah, Barack Obama, Denzel. Oh, don't think he ain't talked to all of them. It ain't nobody's business.
Exactly.
It's nobody's business. It's kind of like, hey man, had a bad lapse in judgment. And I'm sitting here like, yo, you put everybody's bad lapses in judgment up there.
We all got it.
You don't want to see that.
We all got it.
We don't want to see that. I don't want nobody to see my bad lapses in judgment. But, once again, Bobby and Whitney ain't my aunt and uncle.
I told you about my bad lapse in judgment, which is probably one of the most egregious things you can ever do in life to a significant other of yours. I've told you guys. But for all these people to come out and talk shit and be like, yeah, motherfucker, man, if y'all get the fuck out my face on the internet. But, that's people for But, people will be people, flawed in all that they do. So, that being said, people, I'm really getting out of here at this point. So, everybody, please pay attention to what's about to happen here on the screen. So, guys, if you are hearing this right now, you are at the end of the show, so you should pay attention. So, people, every freaking week I do this here podcast. All right? Called Marcus Speaks Live on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you can also check me out on Fridays at 6:30-ish, between 6:30 and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday. Because I do Marcus Speaks Play. Marcus Speaks Play is a culmination of me playing my favorite game in the certain select future releases. All right? Right now I am playing Horizon Forbidden West. Check out the playlist here on this channel, or you can go to my secondary channel, Marcus Speaks Play, and watch me play all the games that I do. But also, if you get bored with that, you can check out all my podcasts that I've ever done, all 118 of them, I believe now, 19 maybe. So yeah, man, y'all can check all of those out, man. Like, don't be silly, all right? Show your boys some love as well. If you want to check out Marcus Speaks Play on twitch.tv, go over to www.twitch.tv/Marcus Speaks Productions, or go into the Twitch app and just type in Marcus Speaks Productions. I'm right there, all right? And as well, if you could, like this video, share this video, and subscribe if you are new, and hit that bell icon to all so you can get all my notifications once I go live. And also have a little thing here. It's a little link that's pinned up to the top. It's if you want to come up here and talk to me while I'm doing the show about the topics that I'm talking about. But I only have 3 rules. Those 3 rules are: if you want to come up here, you must be on camera. Rule number 2: if you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to be. But you will have to be on camera when you come here to the backstage. I have to see who I'm talking to. There's a private chat back here as well if you would like to say, hey, I don't want to be on camera. Show yourself on camera when you come back here, and then when I bring you up, you can turn your camera off before I bring you up. All right? And the third and final rule is this: please silence all background noise. I don't need to hear what's going on in your house. All right? I don't need to hear your baby crying, your dog barking, you frying fish, or your favorite music or TV shows. I do not need to hear that while I'm doing my show. All right. So with that being said, if you would like to follow those rules, y'all can come on up here and have fun. And as well, the scrolling tick is for you guys. Scrolling tick helps you, go to certain places and stuff like that, such as knowing when my shows come on, tell you guys to hit the chat or to follow me on social media. It's all there for you, and you guys can hit that up. So yeah, that's all that I have to say. But before I go, I would like to leave you guys with this. Make sure you guys drink more water, all right? Get to that money, make that dollar bill, mind your own business, and lastly, do your own research. It helps out in the long run. So with that being said, people, I have nothing more to say. I'll check you guys out next week, and I thank you for watching. Peace out.